Hey there, SMITE fans, Aggro here. Look, every single year, the SPL just keeps getting better. Season 7 was incredible, and in Season 8, I'm sure our players are going to take their game to the next level. But in order to do that, they're going to need the best gear they can get their hands on. And that's why I'm so excited to announce the title sponsor for Season 8 of the SPL is Alienware. Yeah, that Alienware. Our players are getting the best of the best in computer gaming. These Alienware Aurora Ryzen Edition PC setups are insane. Not only will these be the PCs that the players will compete on once we are in studio, but Alienware is also providing one for each player at their home setup to make sure their practice is as good as possible. Now let's get down to brass tacks. The specs on these Alienware Aurora Ryzen Edition desktops are amazing. An AMD Ryzen 9 16-core processor.
That's a lot of cores.
That's plenty of processing power.
That's a lot of cores. Plenty of cores.
If you want to stream, this is the way to go.
I know a lot about my cores, so. I mean, Pilates, right?
64 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM.
What? Is that true?
That is true.
I mean, this thing has 64 gigs of DDR4 RAM.
Which you can do literally anything with.
Literally anything.
I've never had more than 16 gigs.
That's quadruple the amount I have at home.
And one of the hottest commodities in the PC world, an NVIDIA GeForce 3090 graphics card.
Insane how much better this is than what I have.
The best graphics you really need, Ultra, of course.
Content's gonna look good.
And what's the point of all the power if you can't see it? Players will also be using the Alienware 25-inch 240Hz monitors.
Man, when I load into scrims with this bad boy, I'm gonna feed so hard. And it's gonna be in perfect picture quality.
We are so excited to be partnering with Alienware for Season 8 of the SMITE Pro League. And the best part is, this VIP treatment, it's not just for the pros. You too can get the best possible SMITE experience. Just go to smitegame.com/Alienware and use code SMITEAW to get special discounts on some of Alienware's best products. Thanks again to Alienware. Make sure you're following them on Twitter and Instagram. That's @Alienware on both platforms. And you can join their community at alienwarearena.com.
Another round will bring you down. Another round won't save you now.
Yeah, reverse sweep coming up. Big win for the Camelot Kings here.
And the Valkyries have done it not since week 2.
It is the deicide for the Oni Warriors, and they have pulled this game back from the brink. But the rest of the Solar Scarabs follow up. Down go the Titan. And Rodman's got the first. What a 1-2 punch from the Bolts.
The damage coming from the Leviathans until Zapman puts them down with the snipe.
Defend their Titan, and the Tartarus Titan send us on to a game 3. The Jade Dragons have come to play. 5 kills in 7 minutes.
Well, it's a nice Sunday morning if you're here in the U.S. Hope you enjoyed the extra hour that you had to get ready this morning before the Pro League starts up. And my name's Gormizer. I'll go ahead and welcome you into the SPL Season 8 powered by Alienware. Before we get into what's going to be happening today, I want to say thank you to Alienware. Again, you can get these Aurora Ryzen R10 desktops that the pros are playing, or you can use these amazing 25-inch 240Hz gaming monitors that they're using if you go to smitegame.com/Alienware. There's also a whole ton of other stuff. If for some reason neither of those seem to be up your alley, there's going to be other things that you can buy and use code SMITEAW on checkout to make sure you get that discount. As Aggro had said it, the VIP treatment. That's right. Not just reserved for the pros here. And of course, it is Aggro who's going to be joining me for this one, at least at the very beginning of the day. And this is looking like an interesting area because we are at the end of the group stage. It feels like, at the same time, way too fast, but a lot of best-of-5s later. You'll get to see the Atlantis Leviathans trying to find their hat trick in a 3-0, and the Valkyries trying to potentially find their own win here. And I think maybe cause some disruptions if they're able to. But also the Bolts and the Warriors, where another bit of changing could happen depending on what happens there in Group B.
Yeah, the Group B match, obviously the one to watch, because the Warriors and the Bolts, that's a huge one for sure. And if the Valkyries win,
oh no, they're out
in a quick way. You know, I think that maybe because head-to-head is always for the Jade Dragons. So yeah, Group A is looking pretty locked. Leviathans are going to be the top seed, even if they lose, because they have the head-to-head up against the Kings. And even if the Valkyries win, they lost the head-to-head to the Dragons. So Group A is done in terms of seeding, but there's no worse way to get yourself into the postseason if you're the Atlantis Leviathans than to lose to the Valkyries. Like, that is the worst way to get in there. So you've got to make sure that, hey, I know this game doesn't mean a whole lot to them or, to what our chances are going to be, but I think it would really damage the confidence if they were to lose. So they've got to still perform.
And you got to look at it. The other day, the Valkyries gave us the first pinnacle of the year.
True.
So obviously they're on the up and up as of right now. Remember, if each of those groups, it's the top 3 teams that are going to playoffs. So this is not the last case scenario for the Valkyries if they aren't able to make it. And if they don't make it to the playoffs, it's fine because they're going to make it to the SWC playoffs there in December, where we're going to end up seeing pretty much, I think, all except the top 2 teams from playoffs that will play up against each other. So that their run's not over just yet. They just have a month to wait before things will really kick off. But first, they have to make it through this best of 5, which is going to make things even more interesting to me. Leviathans have been on a very big hot streak, the same way you could look at some of these other teams, but they have been controlling this group, and really it feels like controlling the league lately.
Yeah, the Leviathans, I think, are just in the arms race right now with the Tartarus Titans to see who's going to end up being the favorite heading into that SWC playoffs and the Phase 3 playoffs, because these 2 teams, the Leviathans and the Titans, have been unbelievable. And really, they've both developed their own unique styles. For the Leviathans, a lot of focus on Panatom recently, and for the Titans, a lot of focus on layers. So these junglers have really started to do a lot for both of these teams. But overall, the Leviathans, they just have a bevy of win conditions. You can kind of go anywhere and feel like you're going to have a good chance to make plays happen, and that's how you become a great team. And the Leviathans are certainly a great team.
And this is something that I think is wild to look at. You look at like year-long stats, and you've got Susano being played a ton. I think Gilgamesh is up there for Panatom's like most played gods, things like that. Lately, it's just been Camazotz, and if they're going to let him keep having it, I don't mind it because it's looked phenomenal in almost every single matchup he's played.
Camazotz is just the best jungler right now, I think. I mean, you look at what Layer's been doing with it, you look at what Panatom's been doing with it. He brings so much safety. You can't 1v1 this god if you're any assassin, basically. It just becomes impossible to kill you in the late game. He does 1 million damage throughout all stages of the game. I just think that Camazotz is the cream of the crop right now, and Panatom having that near the top of the god pool is always really good. Whenever your jungler is making the plays happen on the best god in their role and making them look like the best god in their role, then that's going to be a pretty good sign for you and your team.
And so far, it's only been it's only lost for them once, which is wild to think
not
about
a lot.
out of the 6 games that he's played it. So he's been doing pretty well on that one. And that's something I think the Valkyries are going to have to take into consideration. We look over towards them. I referenced it earlier. Johnny had a phenomenal game the other day. And first off, they pushed the Kings to 4 games, which is impressive. But it was really games 1 and 2. I think they looked the strongest. Game 1, competitive despite a loss. Game 2, they end it with a pentakill and show out a lot. And Johnny is really what feels like the lifeblood of this team. Everybody else has started to step up, but if he's having a good game, the entire team's there.
Absolutely. Johnny is going to be the star for their squad. There's no doubt about that. I think that the big takeaway for me, though, was not just that Johnny is still really sick at SMITE, because he totally is, but Raffer on that Sobek was so impactful. And I really didn't like that they took him off of it the next game. And I know that, they weren't up against the Geb necessarily, that was the pick they picked the Sobek into. But give me more Raffer Sobek, because I think that was his best game of the year. Gotta give him the tools to be a really big factor in a win. So I would love to see the Valkyries go back to that style that we saw in this game 2 up against the Kings.
And here's what's wild. Sobek is their most locked-in Guardian, and he's the only one they've won with. It's the only god that Raffer has played that they have found wins under, taking that over to 3 thanks to that. I mean, this guy, Johnny, as well as the setup that was around him for this game 2 up against the Kings that we saw just a couple of days ago, was absolutely nuts. And if you get that performance from them consistently, all of a sudden this team jumps up to top 5, top 4 levels. It's just the consistency that's going to matter. That is a very high ceiling. Unfortunately, their floor is very far apart from it.
Yeah, the consistency has been a problem. And look, we all understand what the Valkyries have been dealing with. They've got 5 players playing on ping. That changes a lot for what you can do as far as your team compositions and your in-game execution. We all understand that. But still, even with that in mind, the consistency hasn't been there. I think their picks and bans have really struggled at times this year. Let's see if they can start locking those in, because this is the time that you got to be knowing exactly what you're good with and exactly what you need to take away in order for your strategies to work.
Well, we can take a peek and see how they're going to do here. Game 1, picks and bans going to go ahead and kick off. Leviathans are your first pick team. I am going to mention this just because it's at the top of it. the most banned gods up against the Valkyries. Loki, not surprising with the way Johnny's been playing. But Geb and Kepri are up there as well. Geb, at least as of late, makes a lot of sense there. And the Kepri is just the thing that, for some reason, Raffer keeps going to, despite the success of the Sobek. And so if that's left available to him, maybe look for that to get locked in. But it's a difficult task to try and go over when you're Johnny here, when, especially now I'm looking at what he was able to do on the Hunbats. Camazotz is going to be big for the Leviathans. It feels like there's a lot of targets that you could try to knock down to just take the Valkyries down a peg.
Yeah, I feel like right now the main things you got to be taking out, Guardians obviously at the top of the list, and then a lot of these Assassins I think are going to start to rise into that ban column, namely Camazotz, but Loki against certain players, Johnny being the first and foremost there, of course, that locks that in for the Valkyries. So, with those taking a lot of priority, this Sobek ban from the Leviathans I think is very smart. As we've covered, that has been Raffer's best pick this year by a considerable margin. Even if they aren't willing, maybe since the last set, they can end up learning to take that away a little bit.
Now, the one thing I'm worried about here, most banned god versus the Leviathans. And this honestly might be all year, but at least for this phase,
Artio.
It's Yamoja.
Oh.
And that's available. Artio, also available. Both of those.
Didn't
scary
you
for the
tweet
Leviathans.
that Yarkor is like 15-1 on Artio?
Yeah, he has some ridiculous...
That's absurd.
He has lost only one game, and that was in comparison to, I think, what was the 24-4 Raijin that Shinto has. The Leviathans do a lot of winning, as it turns out, and they do it really, really hard. They're going to take the Yamoja here. I'm going to throw this one out. This phase, 3 first picks, 3 wins.
Yeah, and I think Rongyu has looked like the best Yamoja player in the world and multiple times this year. He makes this god still look absolutely insane. And then you're just going to have to really think about how we can pick around this Yamoja wall and how we can get out of it. Artio doesn't, and I think that's a big reason why we see them being willing to let Artio go in that first slot and go, yeah, you can go with whatever you want. You can go Artio if you want, but we'll just lock you in with that Yamoja wall.
Yeah, especially when you know that Hardcore will play damn near anything and whatever he wants, and he's going to play it really well. That's the other downside they're going to have to deal with here. The Soul gets locked in alongside this. Now, if this was any other team than the Valkyries, I think we're talking about mid lane for sure. And it could still be. Zeros, I believe, played it the other day in mid. But this is also a pick. I mean, Emilito literally has a skin in the game because of this pick.
Yep.
So it's something that is very flexible for them.
Yeah, I think so too. And I would love to see this go to Zeros in mid, even though Emilito does have that storied history on it. I just feel like Soul in mid right now is super strong. I think Soul in ADC is good as well. But with Zero's God Pool being a little in flux and haven't really locked that down and found those successful picks for him quite yet, Soul is an easy one to just stick in mid. He's very good on this god. I think it's the strongest mid laner he has that he's picking a lot of right now. In my opinion, this should go to Zeros because Emilito has shown me that he can play a bunch of different ADCs and still look pretty good.
Well, the Morrigan Cthulhu gets locked in. And if it weren't for the Yamoja, this feels, well, and even with the Yamoja, it feels a lot like what the Titans have been running a lot lately. That is a mean team fight at the very start of your draft. The top 3 for the Leviathans feeling very strong. Artio's Soul, something that you could see across the league as of right now. Ganesh, not so much. He's a slow roller at the very beginning of the game. In fact, I think even last year we did a Grandmaster class and Raffer was like, yeah, you're not picking this guy for the first 5 minutes of the game. You're trying to go beyond that towards the late game.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, the Morrigan is going to be trying to go in and stealth onto your backline and just oming on top of your carry stops her from stunning them and transforming. The transform does take a while, so even if they do get stunned, if they don't pre-beads, you can turn and silence them, and all of a sudden they have to use their beads in order to get their transformation off, and a lot of times in the late game, that's actually just, you can't get away with it. So I think that up against the Morrigan, it can be okay. Plus, it does get outside of the Yamoja wall. Even though it's not a leap, remove obstacles let you go through player-made walls. So I think it can work here.
Well, the bans that come through is Daji, Serket on the side of the Valkyries. It's Hunbat's Nemesis on the other side. This is what I was worried about. Hey, all of those gods, none of them are Camazotz. Guess what we've been seeing a whole lot from Panatom lately, and successful at that. It has been this Camazotz. Hachiman gets locked in. He's going to be going up against this Ho Yi. This is big.
I was thinking, we see Hachi, he's been owning recently.
Yeah.
Look at the 26 games played, 73% win rate. That is insanely high. Look, the proof is in the pudding sometimes. Hachiman's winning a lot. That god's got to be pretty good.
Susano is the final lock-in over here for the Valkyries. I'm worried about both of these. I think the Valkyries have a draft that plays to exactly their style, at least the gods that they've been locking in, despite I'm pretty sure a still horrific win-loss there for Hou-Yi. It has looked good in the hands of Imolito.
Yeah.
On that side, Susano feels like it should be a very good shoe-in pick for Johnny as well. But the top 3 for the Leviathans screams easy team fight, and the bottom 2 have such success rates for them that it's hard to argue up against.
Yeah, I mean, you get... they have Yamoja, Cthulhu, Morrigan, Kama, Hachi. That is a crazy draft, like a nuts draft. And that is without factoring in who is actually playing those picks and how good Panatom has been on Kamazats and Rongyu has been on Yamoja. Like, that is really scary to go up against. I think the Valks do have a strong draft. You know, they transition well into the late game. They've got an early game solo laner, so Johnny can theoretically camp solo, though I don't know how well you can kill Cthulhu most of the time, but, you know, you can make it work. They scale well into the late stages. They've got these double hunters. They can do objectives really fast with the Ganesh. There's good things happening here in this Leviathans draft, and I just don't think it matters that much because the Leviathans draft is just so strong.
It almost plays itself, but also has really, really strong, like, top-of-the-league style players behind it as of right now. We'll see what they're going to be able to do. The Valkyries have a lot to work up against here. That is going to be a tough early game for them to make up for.
I will say I think the Leviathans draft is pretty CC light. You know, there's not a lot of guaranteed CC on their team. You know, you've got Morrigan stun. That's melee range, not really hitting that close range.
Wait, you're telling me you don't expect Hachiman to go in and stun for his team?
Well, it is Zap, so I guess he could.
If he hard feeds, he knows that means Shinto is going to do well.
Exactly. And look, Kamazats, no CC. Cthulhu doesn't have really CC until he ults. Like, the Meyer doesn't really root people that often. Maybe the Leviathans simply won't hit their skill shots.
Maybe. Well, you know what? Sometimes that does happen. We've seen it in the past. We'll see if they'll have it happen here. The Valkyries have an early game to make up for. Let's see if they can do it here in game number 1.
That's right. It's game 1 of our final day of the group stage, and we're going to kick it off with the Leviathans and the Valkyries to start it all out here. But good Lord, Mifflin, what a draft that the Leviathans were able to come up with here. It's J-Mac, Mifflin, and Doug bringing you guys game number 1. I mean, they got pretty much everything that's at the top of the charts right now.
Draft chasm. A canyon, if you would. A giant just space between these two. I don't know. Any synonym you could come up with. Yeah, sure. I think that's encompassed by canyon itself. You threw an adjective on my thing.
Yeah, I did.
Fair enough.
Makes it bigger.
It sure does. And you were right to do so because the Leviathans have got themselves a draft that I think is nigh unbeatable, man. Sure, the Valhalla Valkyries have got some good stuff going for them, but if this goes late, and I'm sure the Valkyries would love this to go late, all of their pieces scale well into the late, they just get outscaled. So if both teams are aiming for the late game, one got a better late game draft, and that's the Leviathans.
Well, one thing that the Valkyries have been loving to do instead of trying to go late has been fighting early. That's been the name of their game, up against the Dragons, up against the Kings. They love these pre-10, 15-minute skirmishes.
Good bounce.
Emma with a nice little bouncer. We've been seeing a lot of little sick ricochets ever since Hou-Yi's kind of come back in the meta. Not a lot of success on this god. I'm pretty sure it's still just Zapman who has the win on this god. Now let's see if Zapman can keep that win-loss down on the Hou-Yi as he's going up against on the Hachiman. That I think Agro's right to highlight. This god is just kind of dominating as of recent. I mean, 73% win rate on Hachiman.
Yeah, he was kind of the cream of the crop on the tail end of Season 7, even the beginning of Season 8, and I don't know, he hasn't seen too many nerfs. The itemization has changed, and that's partially why we saw him fall off, but God's still just really good, incredibly safe, has decent poke in lane, Heavenly Banner, giving your whole team attack speed, just nice.
Shinto caught out by Johnny in the midst of the jungle. First blood goes to the Valkyries on the tail end. A little gank over in that right side jungle, and Johnny, after getting his kill, he's not done there. He's going to steal away a couple back camps to strip some more farm from the Leviathans.
Good call out by Johnny to go ahead and target Shinto on those back camps. The Leviathans have been doing this all year. It's Panatom saying, hey, I don't need that farm. Shinto, I would love if you just hit level 20 at 15 minutes, so go ahead and take everything that you can on your own, and that's a double-edged sword. Morgan trying to solo clear back camps, very exploitable.
Panatom low on mana here, wants to go for the 2v2 up against Johnny. He'll get pulled in. Blue buff fought over, blue buff stolen away. Panatom falling low, and the dot from the jet stream not quite enough, but Ducky's got the damage to take it out with the energy surge right after. It puts a second kill up for the Valkyries, but Emil in danger on this top side. Ricochet's good, a stun is better. The knockup, Zapman dashes in, needs one more base, and can he fight it? No! The shell comes through, Rafford keeps him alive.
Great shell from Rafford, great body blocks as well. Amelito lands the triple bounce to make sure Rongyu couldn't stick around. The Valhalla Valkyries, they're playing well right now, and establishing a small early game lead is one way to stifle the Leviathans from moving themselves into the late game. Already, I'm loving this strategy of the Valkyries, especially around Johnny, to play around the soul lane. I think that's one of the only ways you can address Cthulhu in Smite, the game, is to make sure that he isn't having a great laning phase himself. It's pretty easy to do. Meyer clears wave, but he doesn't really fight too much until he ticks over to level 10, 12, gets that second relic. So far, the Valhalla Valkyries doing a great job of slowing down the Leviathans.
And it seems it's what a lot of teams have been doing as of late against this Cthulhu. Just try and strip away as many blue buffs as you can in the first, 15 or so minutes and essentially kind of make him irrelevant. Cthulhu hasn't had the best of win percentages in the last couple of weeks of play. But Zapman and Rongu, after losing their Harpy, they try and steal one away, but they don't end up doing so. Triple bounce out of Emerald, tap Zap twice. But that Riptide will make sure that those two can get out of there. And a nice little steal away to secure his own Harpy, too.
The last 4 minutes from Emilito have just been a masterclass on how to play Hou Yi. Every single bounce has been a triple bounce. He's clearing the waves very well. He's utilizing the pressure in lane, the fight pressure, as Hou Yi doesn't have the best lane clear. Instead, Emilito's been kind of targeting out Zapman, focusing Rongu, just putting as much damage as he can into these guys. Unfortunately for Emilito, Rongu's playing Yamoja, so despite having a ton of damage from this Hou Yi, it gets healed up.
Well, another ricochet. Stun lands on Rongu, but Raffer and Johnny on the way. Rongu, no ultimate, a blinking by Johnny, pulls him right in. The knock up from Raffer holds him in place, and Emil puts him down. A third one up for the Valhalla Valkyries here early on. 1,300 gold they've been able to amass for a lead, too.
They have been, and now can maybe even push it even further. Zero's moving in towards Shinto on the red buff, but the purple being accosted by the other 3 core members of the Valhalla Valkyries. They're doing a great job establishing the pace. They have not slowed down, the Valkyries that is, and it's happening everywhere on the map. Ducky trying to solo invade this blue and is successful in doing so.
Zapman just gets away from the root. Dharmic Pillars drop down, but Emil is not there to go for the fight, so instead Zapman will just walk out of the pillars. Hardcore goes up with the Descent to Madness. Panatom is here to try and shut down this Ardio. They're going to need a lot of damage to do so. Still over half health on this Ardio, and it seems that Panatom and Hardcore do not want to continue the commit, so Ducky will live after the engagement.
He will. Ducky level 7 on Ardio, so survivable, so much healing in the kit that really the Leviathans, and with Yarkor being completely probably couldn't stick around in that engagement, and had they done so, likely would have taken so long, would have given time for Johnny to rotate his way in there. I am loving this look from the Valkyries. This is exactly what you want to see if you're a Valks fan. These guys are playing decisively throughout the early game, proactively on the Leviathan side of the map, and it's netted them nearly 2,000 gold in the lead.
It's one thing that, the devs kind of highlighted. This game itself doesn't have any implication on the standings, but man, if the Valkyries can come out with even a couple of games here up over the Leviathans, even if they can take the set, it feels so good for their confidence going in towards the world placement stage back up in December. Maybe put a little bit of a damper on the Leviathans' mental going towards the playoffs, but I don't think the Leviathans will be too deterred, even if they get a loss here. Leviathans still down, though. About 2,000 gold the Valhalla Valkyries do have up over them here just 6 minutes in.
Yeah, this is a great start for the Valkyries, and they've got some decent early game tools. Their late game scaling is strong, but their mid game might be slightly stronger than the Leviathan, so they're able to transition this small lead into a mid-game advantage, pick up the Greater Scorpion on the Gold Fury side, play around Emilito, who has been bullying Zapman and is continuing to do so. Could be one way to net you some Gold Furies, and Gold Furies are the key to moving yourself into a great mid to late game.
I was ready for that nasty bounce to come out of nowhere on Emil. He lined it up and threw it off to the side. I'm like, okay, which wall is he going to get this bounce from? Fortunate for him, he kind of just runs around the edge of the wall with that ricochet. But him up against Zapman has been putting some bully pressure up against him, even trying to go for his purple buff steal to try and bait Zapman. Now these ricochets from Emil, man, these are insane. And Raffer's here, Dharmic Pillar over the wall. Johnny on the tail end of the fight wants to go in and get that kill. Needs one more shot and will do it.
Rongu and Panatom rotating their way in. Johnny has to path himself through the tower. It's a blink forward from Panatom, but the ultimate from Susano should be enough to put a damper on the rest of this engagement. The Valhalla Valkyries, guerrilla warfare tactics everywhere on the map, and it's still netting them wins. Take a peek on the right-hand side. That's another blue buff invade. You gotta just think that Ducky's getting it. Nobody's showing up to stop him.
Yeah, Hardcore is just going to have to accept the fact he's probably not getting a blue anytime soon, at least not without some extra help. And maybe no purple buff for the Leviathans either. Rongu gets caught in the middle of 3, pulled back by Johnny. The bubble and the Riptide are enough to be able to get him out between the slow and the extra movement speed bump. Purple buff does go down. Leviathans lose out on yet another buff, and the Valkyries continue to extend this lead. But watch out for Shinto on the top.
Shinto working his way in with a stealth, but good pathing from the Valhalla Valkyries should have secured them an escape. This could be greedy, though. Shinto just about alone. It's just Panatom nearby with the peel, and he's close to Oom.
Silence goes through, and so is a transformation. Goes into the Kamazots. The jet stream is on him, but the damage out of the bat, out of health for the mid laner is good enough to net him a kill. But he's going to go down here as Rapper and Johnny team up to take him out and make it a 1-for-1 trade. But now that Zapman has walked too far forward, and the Supernova out of zeros will be enough to take him out. It's another 2 kills for the Valks.
Uncharacteristic mistakes from the Leviathans. An overstay from Zapman. Shinto going for the purple buff invade when Panatom was not in fighting shape. The Valhalla Valkyries may have traded out Emilito, but that's a great trade. Zapman loses his life, so he's not spending any of that time farming. Emilito essentially doesn't fall behind from falling down. And then you get the free pick on a Shinto, who has been the consistent win condition for the Leviathans throughout the phase. The Valhalla Valkyries, they're controlling this one, and the Leviathans, seems like they've fallen prey to the Valkyries' pace.
And look at the 100% kill participation out of Johnny so far. Talk about a facilitator on the map. One thing that you, Aggro, everybody's really been highlighting about this player specifically for the Valks is let Johnny be the one to get your team ahead. Well, 3-0-3 on a Susanna, I think it's a good way to start.
It is, with Jotuns, with Crusher. He's now got great solo potential, can act as a solo agent in these team fights. Emilito unsuccessful in connecting his 20th triple bounce this time around. I won't hold it against him.
Ducky collapsed on by 3. Hardcore up into the ultimate, and the waters out of Wrong. You will hold him in place. The stun will connect, and the damage comes through, but they are taking a while to kill this bear. Ducky will eventually finally go down. Panatom is the one who takes his life. Rapper rotates over, a silence onto Zapman. The knock up after, a dive bomb in by Emil, and the Dharmic Pillars drop through. Emil just needs a couple more shots. The horse out of Zapman doesn't take him very far. He tries to go back in. Emil needs one more basic. Can you do it? The minions, the tower. It's all enough. Zapman is somehow still alive. It turns it around.
Zapman's crazy. He could have just rode the horse out. He could have just lived. He said, no, I need to turn around this game, and I need to turn it around right here. Turns the engagement on Emilito and Raffer. Low HP as well. Are they taking a 1v1 in the duo?
The Leviathans are not happy about what's been going on the first 10 minutes. They're turning it right back around. Zapman, who was on the cusp of death just earlier, is walking at Rapper, but Johnny is here and should surely put this one down, but the pull misses out of Johnny. Zapman gets to walk away. Rapper, can he do the same? Dodges out the Dark Omen, and no tower dive in. Leviathans with some ballsy plays coming out of Zapman here. And Zapman does get a live at the end of the day.
He does. Nets himself a 1-level lead over Emilito as well. Johnny dashing forward here, has to utilize the third ability to get himself out of dodge. Shinto, had he connected that stun, could have spelled doom for the jungler.
Emil has that ricochet, will toss it out, but not find anybody this time around. Just off the mark with the ricochet. The Leviathans trying to shore up a little bit of that gold disparity that they were at. It was a 3,000 gold lead the Valkyries had just moments ago. Now, it's shorted itself down to only about 1,500, and even the experience. Look at that harsh spike back up. That was also at 3K.
Yeah, that was about a 3-level lead for Ducky in the soul lane just a moment ago. That gank from the Leviathans was much needed for Yarkor, who now only finds himself nearly 1 level down, maybe about a level and a half under the RDO. Zapman, careful here. Emilito may have fallen last time, but you're still low HP, and he's got ultimate.
He is really playing with fire here. Double bounce misses, and so does the ultimate, but this time Emil's got the basics to put him down. Zapman, who was almost dead moments ago. It feels like it was over a minute ago he almost died. And it didn't look like he ever went back to the base, and this time Emil does get to punish him for it.
Yeah, maybe Zapman feeling himself a little bit too much after that turnaround, but can you blame him? It was that cool. But it does cost him not only his life, but his tower on the tail end.
Pull in by Johnny, bat out of hell from Panatom to try and get him away. It's a transformation by Shinto into the Kamazots to try and chase him down. The Ohm is holding him out, but the beads out of Shinto will finally be able to pay off. And they'll get a kill up onto Johnny. Descent into madness from Yarkor, and Rapper is as good as dead. Double kill for the mid laner out of the Leviathans.
Ducky at least able to take down Panatom in the back line. Does find himself isolated. Zeros working his way forward. The Valkyries are not done.
Shinto in danger. Ducky goes in. The bear swipe is good. The Aegis holds him out for just a little while longer, and the stealth might just be enough to break their ankles. Shinto makes it out, but can Yarkor and Wrong You go through? An ultimate out of the support may just be enough to cut off their path.
Ducky dashing forward yet again. Stun should be coming up any moment now. It seems like he's got his eyes on the farm. It's just Ducky here. So maybe a blue buff invade, all he can go for. Wrong You gonna try his best to stop this one.
Wait, Emil's over here on the right side of the map. He's going ahead and grabbing a little bit of solo lane farm of his own. Ducky will not be able to steal that blue buff away. Good positioning and good attacks there by Wrong You. Make sure that Yarkor does finally get to have a blue buff all his own after losing what felt like pretty much everything pre-10 minutes.
Yeah, this has not been Yarkor's early game, but that's not what you draft Cthulhu for. Artie, on the other hand, 100% certified, bona fide lane bully, and Ducky been utilizing that well with the rest of his team. We got a slight breather here. 13 minutes in, it's been an action-packed game, but the Valhalla Valkyries have still maintained some pretty significant leads on the map. Emilito's got about a half level, 2 levels for Ducky, just about 1 for Johnny out of the jungle, and then even across the board with Raffer just now ticking over to 10, matching up against Rongyu's 9. XP advantage belongs solely to the Valkyries here, and with the Gold Fury spawned up, and with the gold leads also in the hand of the Valks, gotta think that's where they're gonna want to push their lead before the Leviathans are able to group up as 5 and utilize this, what will be double Cthulhu draft.
Shinto turns around, gets the stun on Raffer after the pillars. Rongyu is here, but it's a full-on chase from the Valks into the jungle. But with Panatom right around the corner, that may dissuade the Valks from walking too much further forward as Panatom and Rongyu are putting in some work against Raffer, down to a quarter health. Just jukes out the stun, but it's Ducky on the backside.
Ducky trying his best to create some space, but can you stop a descent into madness Cthulhu? I do not think so.
Darkor is going deep, and he'll take down Johnny. Picks up 1 to start the fight, and Ducky, who was at full health just moments ago, gets taken out by the solo laner, and Yarkor picks up a double kill to put him at 2-0-3 for the Leviathans.
The Leviathans have been given a second lease on life by the Valhalla Valkyries, allowing them to group up and utilize their composition, and now potentially can close up that gold lead entirely if they can transition themselves into a gold free. Raffer still low, Zero's isolated. Vampiric Bat's not good this time, so Zero should be able to stick around.
Supernova slams through. Shinto gets caught inside, and he's going to go down. A nice little pickup for Zeros and the Valkyries. Raffer and Emil are here. The sun's rain down, and Emil catches out Panatom on the backside. The ultimate comes out from Rongyu and Zapman to try and get them out, but Rongyu is trying to turn the fight back in his favor. Gets the Aegis out of Emilitu. The stun comes through and needs the bubble. Rongyu, all by his lonesome, is going to take out the Hunter.
Now Zapman and Rongyu, the duo lane for the Leviathans, working their way forward
Stop
yet
it.
again. Raffer, good Dharmic Pillars to put a stop to that engagement. Zeros was in some significant trouble. You needed that ultimate, you needed that peel, and the Valkyrie support brings it.
Zapman and Rongyu living through. Johnny on the backside of the fight, but he is a lone level 12 Susano trying to go up against Zapman and Rongyu. 12 and 14 for the duo lane on their levels, and now we've had maybe a slight moment to breathe, maybe a look at some of the builds here. It is that Pythagoras piece for Zeros that we've been seeing kind of back and forth for some of these mage hunters between that and the Bancross Talon, kind of as that first item. Stone to Fall, though, no surprise to see on Zeros. Maybe a little more surprising to see on Yarkor on the opposite side, though.
Yarkor's been going towards Stonefell on just about anyone that can buy it. I mean, when he plays Ardio, he picks up that item. It's just such great stats from the passive. The damage mitigation goes such a long way to keep you alive in these engagements. Stonefall might as well be core. If you are a magical damager that has the capacity to auto-attack at any point, you should probably be buying that item. That is how powerful the passive is. That said, some pretty significant changes in the build here. Zapman gets forced back, meets up with Rongyu in the jungle.
Oh, the ricochet from Emil across the wall, and Johnny puts him down with the Typhoon. Panatom leaps in, but that might be all that Panatom gets to do. He's too low in health to continue going forward. Rongyu just jukes out the ricochet, but they did get the Phantom out of the Valks in that last little engagement. But that's not going to stop the Valks. They're heading right towards the Gold Fury.
Yeah, double auto attack composition means this Gold Fury's days are numbered if the Valkyries are given a little bit of time alone with it. Shinto rotating in, as is Yarkor.
Oh,
that's a lot of time.
That pull off the Riptide, so sick by Johnny, but Rongyu is still fairly healthy, and a rotation in from Yarkor now might try and turn this fight back around. Emil with low health and low mana gets knocked up. The swipe just off the mark. The AoE out of Yarkor isn't enough either. He needs one more hit to try and take him out, but it's Johnny on the backside of the fight who grabs Panatom, and now Yarkor might be the one out of position. Ducky, Raffer, and Zeros turn onto the solo laner instead. But with the Riptides coming out of Rongyu, that might be just enough to get him out.
Shinto still has the ultimate if he wants to utilize that. Can transform into Cthulhu and buy some time, but it's Yarkor who's going to fall down first.
Supernova takes him down. Zapman is now back in the fight, but he's got to fight against the bear, and he's already down to half. Shinto transforms to get a second Cthulhu in the fight, and the ultimate out of Rongyu to try and zone them away, but maybe it's just funneling them right to their own doom. Ducky is holding Zapman back all by his lonesome, and Rongyu and Shinto both have to run back.
And Melito's come all the way back from base, full health, full mana, and ready to tussle. But the Valhalla Valkyries have already won this engagement. 20 seconds left on Yarkor. Might as well turn your attention to the Gold Fury. Ducky acting as a steadfast goaltender, keeping the duo lane of the Leviathans at bay. Free objective for the Chaos team.
Who is going to walk past Ducky this level 16 RTO? Zapman couldn't really do anything to him in that last little fight. He pops the thorns and he says, all right, Zapman, I dare you to swing at me. I dare you to throw hits at me. And Ducky ends up trading blow for blow up against this Hunter. Sets up. Now they got a gold Fury for the Valkyries, and the gold lead now extended towards over 3,500. The Valkyries now have up in the lead. Their largest gold lead of the game so far, kind of coming back to what they were about halfway ago in the game, about 9 minutes. How's that, man? Another ricochet ammo. Is he going to get the solo kill?
Zapman taking the 1v1 here. It's an ultimate forward. Both standing their ground. Aussie procs from Emilito, but it is not enough. Zapman turns it around. Does not need the knowledge of where his opposition is. He can hide in the fog all he wants. The Leviathans Hunter is not to be trifled with.
The solo kill for the Hunter and Leviathans, but the Valkyries are grouping up on this right side of the map while Zapman pushes up the left tier 1 tower. Look at the build online. You already have a Wind Demon for Zapman, the Aussie, and the Crusher, so a lot of attack speed, but most importantly, the extra crits necessary to maybe win out that trade.
Man, when you've got a lead like this as a team, Emilito should not be allowed to try and make plays like that. The sacrifice of his life is going to cost the Valhalla Valkyries such a long power play. That was an opportunity for them to move in towards the Greater Scorpion on the right-hand side or try and push their lead elsewhere, but now it's the Leviathans closing up the gold gap a significant amount, the experience gap growing. 3 levels now for Zapman. I don't know. It was an interesting play. Had Emilito won out on it, we'd be singing his praises, but I think it was an unnecessary risk from the Valkyries Hunter.
Anatom and the group will now take these Oracle Harpies for just to have a little bit of vision on this left side of the map while the rest of the Valkyries kind of spread out and trying to get some farm going. They've slowed down their pace. Maybe Emil hasn't, still trying to go for those 1v1s, but the rest of the Valkyries are slowing down from the pace they were running just earlier, and Emil now staring down the barrel of Zapman and Rongyu has to walk away because of, as you highlighted, the 3-level deficit that he has up against Zap.
And Emil is not built to fight Zap, by the way. He's got the tank shred style. It's Aussie, Crusher, Kin size. Going to be very effective up against Cthulhu's, but in the Hunter 1v1, I value Wind Demon much higher. You've got attack speed, you've got crit chance, 1 crit. Might just go ahead and validate the entirety of Kin size passive in that 1v1. Just another reason I think Emilito a little bit overzealous in looking for those ones.
Dharmic Pillars out, Johnny low, but Zapman will chase him down and get him with the horse. Panatom will chase out Zeros and Raffer. Gamazot's unrelenting in his efforts to move in. Rongyu trying to go for a flank in that left side jungle. Raffer turns around for the knockup against Panatom, and maybe that is just enough to sway the Leviathans from moving further forward.
Leviathans do have 30 seconds to play with while Johnny is still dead. Can't believe we're 20 minutes into this game, and the Greater Scorpion on the Fire Giant side is still up. So Pyromancer not an option as Rongyu takes a good deal of damage.
Ducky blink in, Riptide from Rongyu holds him out. The root from Ducky holds Rongyu in place and sets up for the Suns to rain down. Raffer and Ducky moving in, but the Rear's Rebuke comes through and that's a collapse by the Leviathans in the backline. Shito grabs Emily, core goes up into the Cthulhu Ultimate to slam out as much as he can. The backliner, Zeros in the separate, only can go so far.
Zeros trying his best to walk out of this one, but Panatom has gone out of hell. Is the damage enough? We'll see if Yarkor can finish it.
Zeros is so low. Yarkor's under the tower, and the dash is enough to grab him, but Ducky wants to find Panatom and try and get something here for the Valkyries, but a stun out of Rongyu saves the life of the jungler, and they make it a 2-for-1 trade in the Leviathan's favor. And Zapman, all the while, who cares about the fight? I want the tower. Johnny might want the fight, but can Johnny take this 1v1? Zapman turning it back around, but now that the Aussie is procced, he doesn't have that big lifesteal boon.
He's turning it around. EI Jutsu aggressive and solos out Johnny Raffer. Thought it was going to be easy. Goes for the purple buff on his own. Might be able to finish this one. Not the case. Hops on Epona, rides on out of there. Zapman has been on a tear today.
This man is insane. 4 levels up on Hunter. Who cares? He takes the 1v1, almost loses his life under the tower, and then Johnny says, you know what? Now that your Aussie's gone, let's fight anyways. But that EI Jutsu out of Zapman, pinpoint accuracy to slam him down. The Dharmic Pillar's not enough to finish the job. Zapman playing lights out now.
Zapman essentially calling the bluff. He says, Johnny doesn't think I'll go aggressive here. There's no way this Susano thinks I'm going to try and turn this engagement, but he does exactly that and does so beautifully. 4-4-1 for the Hachiman. Not the most impressive slash line you've ever seen, but it does not accurately reflect the level of play we've seen from Zapman so far in Game 1. Just perfect. I mean, it's been perfect play.
Man, again, over towards these Oracle Harpies, wants to try and get them both. So they have the vision on the Oni Fury that's set to respawn. This Greater Scorpion, we're 22 minutes in and nobody has touched this Scorpion on the right side of the map. Neither team seem to really care all that much because not even putting any attention towards it. Hardcore walks over to look and see if Ducky did. Says, oh, Well, if he's not going to worry about it, I guess we're not going to worry about it.
Yeah, honestly, at this point, Greater Scorpion, Forpion, if you would, doesn't matter. I don't care which team gets it. The amount of farm it's going to afford you is not something you're fighting over. You just need it gone so you can start looking at the actual objectives. 23 minutes in, Fire Giant, incredibly feasible. Just got to get this smaller objective out of the way first.
Raffer stepping up. Oni Furious spawn. Vision control to the Leviathans, but position control maybe over here towards the Valkyries. All 5 ready to go. Meanwhile, Panatom and Yarkor still a little too far away. Zapman gets knocked up and locked down inside the Suns. Ducky and Emil team up to take him out with the help of Raffer. Rongyu standing by, but it's the Valkyries starting up the Fury.
They are, and they should be able to burn it down relatively quickly. Yarkor not making the rotation over, so the Leviathans not willing to take this fight. Instead, split push towards mid. Tier 1 tower should fall down pretty quickly here. The Valhalla Valkyries, though, now have map state advantage, enhanced minion waves working through every single lane, and the Leviathans may have done them a favor by spawning up that Pyro and Fire Giant. We still got 30 seconds left on the respawn of Zapman, and the Valhalla Valkyries are an objective-focused team. They can just walk over and try and force a fight.
Rongyu gets to go for window shopping here as he's standing inside the fog, and we'll see everybody of the Valkyries start rotating towards this right side. Now that Scorpion is down, the Pyromancer and the Fire Giant are up. Rongyu is still sitting inside here, wants to go for the steal, but is unsuccessful in doing so. That one goes to the Valkyries to try and net them a little bit more gold. What was 3,500, almost 4K gold earlier they had, drops down to near even, but we're back here at 1,700 gold up. And Emil just off the mark with that Ricochet experience, though. That's all the Leviathans.
Yeah, and this gold lead for the Valhalla Valkyries, to recontextualize it, is off of winning a team fight, getting a Gold Fury, and a Pyromancer, and we're still looking at like 2,000 gold separating these two squads. The Leviathans, 24 minutes in, are starting to rapidly approach that point of the game where their team fight becomes nearly unstoppable. The Valhalla Valkyries, I think, have put themselves on a timer now. They've got maybe about 5 minutes where they could still utilize this lead. They definitely have great pick potential. We've seen it time in and time out so far in Game 1. But once the 5-on-5 engagement starts, once the Leviathans group up around this Fire Giant, that's going to be the first heat check for the Valhalla Valkyries and see whether or not they can stand up against this behemoth of a composition.
Speaking of a group up around Fire, that's what both teams are ready to do. Zapman rotating over, Hardcore at the forefront for his team. Raffer eats a little bit of poke, and interestingly enough, I've been noticing that Raffer has done this in almost every single game that he's played. A second item, Wingblade, seems to be one of the most common things that this support has been loving to pick up in that slot.
It's one of the most fun items in the game, full stop. Just
it's
going
great.
fast feels good. The passive is very nice up against some of these slows from the Leviathans. Panatom, as well as Yarkor, even Rongyu, can all apply those slows. Magical defense now in that item means that it's pretty much core on a lot of these Guardian builds, but it's the Leviathans who stepped up to the Fire Giant first, and it's burning quickly.
Fire Giant down to half, but Ducky is in the midst of the pit to try and hold them back. Hardcore gets knocked up, and Raffer goes in, but he's going to get stunned out by Shinto, and a huge amount of burst damage back. Supernova to hold him out for a while. The Panatom picks up Raffer, and it's a transformation out of Yarkor, but it's already 2 now down for the Leviathans here as Yarkor and Shinto up in these Cthulhu ults are just trying to hold everybody back if they can. Shinto is falling low in health, and so is Yarkor. It's now Zeros and Emil have turned their sights to try and shred him away, but now with Panatom here to try and turn it back around. Panatom saves the life of his solo laner for only just a moment.
Panatom trying to finish off the rest of this fight. Zero's low, Johnny low. Ducky takes out Shinto in the back, so it's just Panatom now, and he does not win this fight.
Johnny just needs one little teleport in, and will grab him with the pull right after. It's a deicide for the Valkyries, and now with Zeros, Johnny, and Ducky up, they could potentially just go ahead and burn right through this Fire Giant.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it potential. That's a foregone conclusion. This Fire Giant is going down absolutely for free. That entire fight goes awful for the Valhalla Valkyries if it's not for the individual hero play of Ducky. He goes into the backline off that initial engagement once Raffer gets isolated and lands a 4-man stun on the Leviathans, buys time for the Valhalla Valkyries to reposition and get ready to turn that engagement.
You guys might want to take this soon. Rongyu is here trying to hold it out for MLE2, but unfortunately with Rongyu stepping up, they cannot take that risk. The Valkyries do get the Fire Giant on 4 players off the back of a deicide in the midst of that last team fight. And now we're starting to see the first real significant gold lead of the game for the Valkyries, netting up 6,000 up here over the Leviathans. You're only going to be able to climb here as they still have 4 towers on the map they can push down.
For some reason, I've still got decent confidence in the Leviathans to put up a defense. We saw Yarkor nearly turn a 2v1 up against the tank shredders of the Valhalla Valkyries. There was about a 10-second window where it's just Yarkor versus Zeros and Emilito, who are essentially free casting on him. It's just Yarkor peeling for himself, and he nearly kills them both on his own. So if the Leviathans are able to maybe not get 4-man stunned by Ducky in the next team fight, could spell curtains for one of these next engagements. But as you highlighted, the Valhalla Valkyries have now got their largest separation of the match. Fire Giant on 4 members and 4 towers left remaining to pick up and push that gold lead even further ahead. But gold at this point of the game, 28.5 minutes in, is starting to mean less and less as time goes on. The majority of the Leviathans starting to move in towards their 6th item. The same could be said of the Valkyries on the other side. I think it's about 5-6 minutes away from gold, meaning literally nothing besides elixirs at this point.
Zapman's got nowhere left to go but as far away as he can run. Emil will catch him out with the stun right after his ultimate. Aegis only buys Zapman a couple more seconds, and Emilitu puts him down. Well, on the right side of the map, Panatom and Yarkor are trying to take away this right side Phoenix, a bit of a distraction out of Zapman on that left side, but it's not quite enough just yet. Now Shinto rotating in, but they won't get it quite yet. A pull in from Johnny gets the ultimate out of Yarkor.
Yarkor now forced to retreat. Raffer making sure Shinto can't go back in and peel for his team. Panatom sticking his ground.
Panatom going to try and fight back. Yarkor still sticking through here. Zeros continues to try and poke him out, but Panatom goes back in, bat out of hell, and a supernova, plus the River's Rebuke, and Zeros has nowhere to go, collapsed on by the frontliners of Leviathans. He'll go down in a dive under the Phoenix. Panatom grabs Johnny, but all the while, left side of the map, Emil and Ducky have been pushing up the left Phoenix, but it's the Leviathans going for one on the right side. Could they potentially be going for a base race here? No. With Ducky and with Yarkor now going back, that's going to stop them from pushing any further.
But it can open up the opportunity for the Leviathans to go for the end. If Yarkor can stop all these backs, it's 3 members of the Leviathans with an exposed Titan.
Yarkor is able to stop the back of Ducky. Emilitu is trying to find his way back, but the Titan already down to half health. Panatom and Rongyu all by the lonesome here on the right side. Shinto joining in. Titan is going to go down, and somehow, someway, the Leviathans at the end of it all are able to bring it back and take game number 1, not before they can get at least one more kill for their trouble and even up those kill counts.
Just at the tail end of the game, the Valhalla Valkyries are posed a difficult question. How do you address this split push from the Leviathans? And they do not come up with the right answer. Team fight goes to the Leviathans. A great back from Yarkor confirms them the objective afterward. Great play from the Leviathans and great play from the Valkyries as well. Both of these teams swinging hard.
Yeah, I mean, a scrappy game pretty much all the way through. I was going to say, just for the first 10 to 15 minutes, but these two teams really fighting out throughout the entirety, even with the lead that the Valkyries were able to build up, nearly 7,000 up. Leviathan still somehow find a way to bring it back here and take game number 1. We're going to take it to a break and come back to the desk to get you set up for game number 2.
I want to take off my jacket for this one. Oh, dude, this.
No, I know he was supposed to take you out last weekend, but he got busy.
That's right, hi-rez showcase. It's where we're going to be able to showcase a lot of these teams playing, but also a whole lot more on top of all of that one. My name's Gormizer. Once again, welcome back to the desk. Leviathans take game number 1, but again, let's talk about this hi-rez showcase and what you can see there. Of course, there's going to be the World Championship that we have going on for SMITE quarterfinals, semis, and grand finals there on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but you're going to get some brilliant things there the day prior. January 6th, my wife's birthday, is where things all kick off.
Happy birthday, Katie!
Yeah, she'll be... How old am I tomorrow? I'm 28 tomorrow, so she'll be 28 then.
There you go.
And that's how you need to know. Design a God, cosplay contest, slash map, a whole ton of fun stuff that you're going to want to make sure you don't miss out on. So again, January 6th through 9th. Mark your calendars now and be prepared to be able to watch those. I also think there's like a whole bundle that you can get right now. What is it? It's... I wish I had the website off the top of my head.
It's shop.hirezstudios.com.
That's it. See, I wanted to say SMITE Pro League somewhere in there, but it's not in there. Yeah, if you go there, there's a whole bundle that you can get that has cool stuff in it, and you can go ahead and afford that. But that's not what we're talking about right now. Right now, we're talking about the Leviathans taking the wonkiest path to victory that they possibly could have.
What was that? That game was wild, huh?
There's 20-some-odd minutes into the game, there's still a greater scorpion in the fire giant.
Like, just an absolute bloodbath. They woke up, both teams woke up and chose violence today because there was just fighting nonstop. And at the very beginning of the game, it was really great for the Valkyries because they jumped up to this big lead. It was looking really good for them. They were really scrapping well. And then this, I think, really turned the course of this game. This play by Zap is unbelievable, man. I mean, you want to talk about schmovement. This is it. He schmoved on him in this one. He absolutely works him in the 1v2. And Zap was not done working him overall because he had another play up against Johnny by the tier 1 tower and duo that was really impressive. Zap was really just, he was going off in this game. And this is the type of game that Zap really excels in because it's a lot like ranked. You know, it's this is the play that I was thinking of where he lives sub 30 HP on this play. You know, Smite's a third-person game, and so you can use walls like that. And that's fun to do.
And the fact is that
you
are so close to those pillars that is dangerous territory. I also think it's interesting. It's not often that we get to highlight a winning team. Sorry, Zapman, but you're going to get thrown under the bus for this one. And a 0.7 KDA is on the screen.
Yeah.
And this was something that was fun. I keep track of the KDAs like each week just to see where these teams are. 0.7, like, you know, that's where Raffer's been standing for most of the phase, things like that. The Leviathans as a whole, their team's lowest was Zapman with a 3.1. Like this phase. And so this is a good game to slow him down a little bit. Their highest has always been Hardcore with a 5.5. So they are a very dominable team. Our indomitable team. And it seems like the Valkyries learned that the hard way. Although it was close at the very end. The Titans, on both sides, struggling a little bit.
Look, I mean, this game was wild. By the way, this is why Zap was playing so well, because he got this unbelievably cute puppy. Like, illegally cute.
I would also, it's like...
It looks like cotton candy.
It does look like cotton candy. That is a really good dog. I was going to say...
I love that dog.
It falls under the two-folds, right? Like, he's playing really well. Like, they have to win for the dog.
Yes.
But he gets a 0.7 KDA because that puppy was awake at 4 a.m. having to go to the bathroom last night.
Yes, almost certainly crying because it's in the crate, you know, that whole thing. But look, I mean, we can't lose the sight of the fact that the Valkyries were really competitive in this game, that they got off to a really good start. They kind of dragged the Leviathans into this all-over-the-place style, and that was a good strategy here by the Valks. They had a good defense on the Fire Giant that the Leviathans pulled. They came in, they wiped them. They get to fire themselves. Just couldn't end up closing the game because of a good split push by the Leviathans that really changed the game back in their favor.
You mentioning the dog crying because it's in the crate reminds me that Bellini was like, we had her for 3 weeks, and it was the first week Katie had gone to, she went to New York Comic-Con that year. It was 2017. Bellini started sleeping on the bed that weekend because I wasn't strong.
That's right. You can't be strong in those moments.
But you know what? She sleeps next to me curled up right here every night, so that's all that
we
matters.
love that for you.
Picks and bans coming through. Leviathans, they go ahead and get rid of the Loki, which makes sense to slow down once again Johnny. Yamoja is an adjustment here for the Valkyries. Kind of makes sense,
good one,
considering what they were able to top 3 here. Soul is an adjustment from the Leviathans.
Yeah.
Artio still made it through. Cthulhu, Morrigan were very big picks. It was Terra, Odin, Hell, and the Sobek Geb that were banned last time.
Yeah, I really liked the Soul there for Zero, so that he had a really good game on it despite the loss, so I liked the Leviathans taking that away. Both Geb and Sobek were banned last game by the Leviathans. Neither get banned here, so now Raffer has an opportunity to get to some of those picks. Geb is open in this spot. Wonder if Rongyu's going to take it. It doesn't really lend itself to the style of game that we just saw. Sobek would be much better in a game that's all over the place like we just saw. So, yeah, just lock in the RDO. You know, if they want to go Geb Sobek and put Sobek in solo, more power to them. But now we've got this god that's really adept at brawling at all stages.
And again, wildly successful here for Hardcore on specifically this god. A lot of wins, one loss. I think was it 16-1, 15-1, something like that he's been able to do so, and a very high KDA for him. So some big force to have to deal with. Hades, I'm going to admit, with the Scarabs not playing, didn't expect to see this one get locked in.
No, but the Hades has been good for solo Retrol in particular, so it can work. You know, I'd expect it to be going over to solo. Mike's Hades support was forgettable, to say the least. So
much so that I forgot it.
There it is. So, yeah, maybe we shouldn't put that in Raffer's hands. This should be going over to Ducky, but gets you guaranteed lane pressure. I don't know if this is a matchup that he was picking it into, that solo Retrol is picking it into the RDO a whole lot, but it makes sense to go for this type of style.
Now, here's a weird question, and the only reason it feels weird is because we haven't seen it anytime recently. I'm trying to think of the last time it might have happened. Is Zero's playing Hades? Is that like a possibility for them, or is it's much more just shifted over to solo? It almost belongs there.
Yeah, I think it's very unlikely that Zero's takes it, but not impossible. I mean, Zero's has shown us that he's willing to take a lot of different picks in the mid lane. You know, he's been playing Chunga mid and stuff like that where before other people were. So, you know, the Hades mid, it could work. The Apollo lock-in alongside this Ola run now tells me that this is likely going to be Apollo jungle for Johnny, but could be Ola run mid, Apollo ADC.
It's a weird world where we see, you know, a Hunter and an Ola run locked in, and the conversation for the Hunter then becomes the jungle,
right?
Not necessarily anybody else. No. And it's just because of what we've seen out of him so far this year. Daji and the Cirquet banned out here by the Valkyries. On the other side there, you've got the Geb so far, so he made it through the top 6 without getting locked in. And it's going to be the Khepri alongside that. So Sobek's still available here for the Valkyries.
Pick it. Like, pick it. It isn't great up against RDO because you can just lay down the cripple field, and as you dash in, you end up not getting the pluck off. You just kind of hit the brick wall and not do anything, but I think it's still been so good for them that I would have liked to see it. So now with the Nike, it is either definitely Apollo jungle alongside Hades mid, Ola run ADC, or maybe it is Hades support, Nike solo, Apollo ADC, Ola run mid. Who knows? Why am I guessing now? Like, this is a waste of my time.
Yeah, it's a weird shuffle here for the Valkyries. We'll figure it out. Maybe this last one is going to show us what we need to see. The other side, much easier to read. Kali gets locked in. 80% win rate, 5 games played. So she's only lost 1 throughout all of that. And yeah, it's a lot of actually anti-Cthulhu play that was coming through.
Exactly. Really good up against that Cthulhu. Scream was the one playing it and made it look really good. So,
yeah, what's happening here?
Okay. It is Hades support.
Okay.
Chiron ADC. No. Yes. Chiron ADC, Ola run mid, Apollo jungle.
Okay.
Nike solo. That's my guess.
Nike solo. I think, honestly, most of those feel right. The only thing I could see swapping is potentially Nike and Hades. Like, those are the only two
certainly could
that have that.
Also could be,
I guess,
Chiron mid.
Chiron, and Ola
Chiron mid and Ola run ADC.
I don't know. Keeping them on their toes.
Okay, so let's not think about how their composition works in terms of their positions. Let's think about
the fight.
Everyone level 20.
How does it work together?
Exactly, because this game was all about fighting in game 1. You know, I don't love it that way either. I was hoping that I could come up with something in that downtime.
I could feel it. You're grinding.
You know, they've got the Hades Ola run ult combo. That feels pretty good. You know, you're locked in there, and then you're pulled into the sanctified field, and you take a lot of damage that way. They scrap pretty well. There's some decent sustain there, but not matching that of Afro RDO. You have to go up against the Afro Kali combo, which is absolutely a nightmare to deal with, no matter what the game state is. I think that this Leviathans team, even if they fall behind early like they did last game, Afro Kali late game is so hard to deal with, and I don't see really good anti-heal applicators on the other side. It's basically a brawlers from Chiron, and that's the only one who applies it well.
Well, we're going to have to see what the Valkyries have to offer. I was going to talk about the Uller on the other side because we haven't seen him in a while, but the Valkyries, well, they're throwing us something of a curveball. Let's see how it works in game 2.
Yeah, let's see what this toss-up is here. It is going to be the Nike support this time around, so that it's going to be hi-rez going in the solo lane. It's J-Mac, it's Mifflin, and Doug for game 2 between the Leviathans and the Valkyries. And man, Valhalla Valkyries throwing us all for a loop out here, but Johnny going back over towards that Apollo jungle we got to see a couple times earlier in the year. Ducky on the hi-rez that's kind of risen up into fame, but I think the most curious one out of here is just how Nike support's going to work out.
There's a lot of curious things about this Valkyries draft, J-Mac, but I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Do you remember Johnny's KD last time he played Apollo Jungle?
Wasn't like 1 or 0 and 12, something like that?
Exactly. Does that inspire faith?
Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot, in all honesty. Especially when, you know how chainsaws are a terrifying thing if somebody's running at you with one?
Yeah.
Well, there's 2 weaknesses to a chainsaw. 1, the chain falls off, or 2, the gas runs out. When you link an Aphrodite, and basically you give it infinite gas on that chainsaw, that's terrifying.
I like that. I like that analogy. That's pretty cool, actually. Yeah, Panatom now, facilitated by Aphrodite, should have infinite gas and an unbreakable chain, if you would. The Valhalla Valkyries, I think, have put themselves on a timer in this game, J-Mac. They've got about 19 minutes from now. Let's call it 18 minutes and 40 seconds.
Very specific.
Until they are just completely outscaled. So if you're a Valhalla Valkyries fan, pray that they dominate the early game of this one. And the pieces they have individually do not essentially dominate the early game. Ducky should likely pull a lead in the solo lane just because hi-rez is allowed to stay in lane longer than just about any other solo laner, as well as the fact that he's got instant clear once he ticks over to level 3. Emilito and Raffer have got decent kill pressure in the duo lane. But if you just play safe throughout the early, as most supports are apt to do, the Leviathans could just wait for the 1v1 to happen between these hunters. And Chiron has decent 1v1, but On Her might have some of the best 1v1 as far as hunters are concerned.
So looking at this here, we'll maybe hold that thought. Johnny going through. Ducky getting a lot of healing back against him, but Johnny got caught staring at the solo lane, didn't pay attention to the Kali right behind him. Yarkor will dash in and force now both of them under that tier 1 tower. Gonna jump in from Panatom. Gonna get a quick beads out of Johnny. Was expecting the stun right after, but Panatom may not have had that cooldown. Now he's got it. A flick in, and he'll take down the jungler in a nice little 1v1 there, or I guess a 2v2 technically. But it's all Panatom here.
Yep. Kali's got a better early game than Apollo Jungle. That's just the truth of it. Wrong you. Trying his best to put up a defense around this purple buff. It's the Valhalla Valkyries now on the retreat. Heavenly Sprint expended.
Talk about a 1v1 that Zapman wants to take with Emil, but he's got to deal with Raffer, who's smacking with a Ren. Misses the 3rd swing. Raffer may not be able to confirm this kill. A nice jump in, but the damage out of Emil just misses. Emil needs one more hit, but he can't find it. Zapman, with a nice little juke boot, gets away from Raffer and saves his own life.
Raffer's leap saves his life as well. The Impale likely would have just killed this man by putting him inside the tower. So great mechanical play from the support of the Valhalla Valkyries. And now it's up to the Valkyries to utilize this lead that they've established themselves in the duo lane. Both Raffer and Emilito level 4. Zapman and Rongyu likely going to tick over once they finish up this wave. But purple buff invade goes right. Fight goes right. So staying in lane, favoring the Valhalla Valkyries as of right now. Zapman just trying to utilize that Death Toll to get himself back up to fighting strength. Rongyu essentially until he heads back towards base. I think the Valhalla Valkyries could try and take another fight here.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, Scream on the Kali, when he was playing and showing some big success, the build was like Crusher, Charged Bow, Tier 2 towards Odysseus, then a Wind Demon after that, and then I think it was Kinsize, and then he finally went back to Odysseus Bow. Curious if Panatom will run that same route on the Kali. He's already got one piece of that puzzle. The Crusher started up. Johnny, though, might want to try and start a fight. It's a gank, a potential boxing match over here on this left side, but maybe this time it'll be Johnny who catches Panatom not paying attention. Johnny and Panatom staring at each other now as they walk through the jungle, but Panatom won the last little 1v1 skirmish. Well, it's winning this one too.
Yeah, Apollo can't fight Kali. It's the truth. Let's run the numbers, right? Like, what is the best case scenario for Apollo in a jungle 1v1 up against a Kali? It's that the Kali DCs, I suppose. I mean, the damage output from the abilities favors Kali. She's got death immunity in the ultimate. She's got a traditional leap as opposed to Apollo's just standard dash. Yeah, I don't think Johnny favors himself in those fights. Instead, he should be keeping his attention towards counter-ganking wherever Panatom decides to be. The main strength of Apollo in the jungle is that global ultimate. So he's allowed to position essentially poorly in the jungle. He can just go wherever he wants to accumulate farm. And then once he notices Panatom committing himself to a gank, hop into the chariot, ride across the sky, and make sure that that fight is even.
Last game, it was non-stop gladiatorial combat between these teams when the Valkyries were winning those boxing matches. But this time around, a bit slower of a pace. Leviathans just trying to get some extra farm. A leap in. Zapman does get his purple before it goes down. Centaurus out of Emil trying to get some extra poke up against Zapman. Panatom again waiting on this right side. Maybe go for a gank up here against Ducky.
Yeah, Yarkor hasn't pushed inside of the tower, so not many opportunities for Panatom here unless Ducky decides to use that leap aggressively in the lane. I think the Centaurus comes out from Emilito, just assuming that Raffer's leap was going to connect, and had Raffer's leap connected, likely would have taken the life of Zapman, or at least one of those defensive utilities, the CC immunity from the ultimate, or the beads. But unfortunately, Raffer is not able to connect it, and Emilito is just left sitting there in the Centaurus form. Valhalla Valkyries have slowed down their early game a little bit, considering how aggressively they were trying to play throughout the first 3 or so minutes of this game, but have still accumulated themselves a minuscule goal lead, 300 or so in their favor.
And 17 minutes sooner this time, the Forp does go down. This time, Panatom and Yarkor will make sure to grab it before we get to the 20-plus minute mark, but this time it's the one on the left side of the map. That's the one only left standing. Raffer and Johnny will try and make amends to that statement. They drop that, so they split out the Scorpions 1-1, so a little bit of an even global golden experience across the board for these teams. That means the Fire Giant does spawn in at its time. Rongyu, a blink under the tower against Zeros, will get the beads and the ultimate out of the Ola run.
Johnny forced a retreat as well. Doesn't like his odds against the Kali still. Don't expect that to change at any point going forward. You know what? I've been spending the last 6.5 minutes kind of racking my brain trying to figure out what the Valhalla Valkyries can do with this composition to transition themselves into a favorable mid to late game situation. And double hunter compositions shred objectives. Gotta think the triple hunter compositions just do it faster. Pyromancer, Fire Giant gonna be spawning up shortly. Gold Fury available already. You've got 2 standard hunters and 1 magical. Maybe just fight on objectives and leave it up to coin tosses and hope that you win them consistently.
Man, imagine if that was a Fafnir instead of a Nike, and then you pick up a Frenzy to boot. There would be no chance for an objective, a tower, even if a single person gets caught in the midst of them, any chance of survival. But instead, it will be this Nike support. Raffer able to put in some good work early on, put some pressure against Zapman and Rongyu. And now we're starting to move out of that laning phase here, 7.5 minutes in. It's Rongyu looking for a fight in mid. Zeros has to sit all the way to the back of his tower. His beads and his ult are still down, and that's enough of a call for Panatom and Rongyu to go in. Ultimate out of the support will throw him right back into the clutch to Shinto, but it's a dive in from Johnny off the Chariot. Now Panatom and Rongyu have to leave the tower line. Johnny goes in for the dash, and now with Emil and Ducky rotating over and Raffer on the backside of the fight, the Valkyries want to try and turn this one back around.
Raffer's applied a slow heavily. Rongyu gonna be the first one to fall. Yarkor now isolated. Ducky still has his ultimate, could lock him down if he weren't dead.
Yarkor's in the middle of all, and Panatom loads up the chainsaw and starts shredding through, but he's not going to get anybody this time around. Raffer turning back in with the Ren, and now that Zapman has decided to make his rotation over, Raffer could be a quick pick here for the Leviathans if they can catch him. A good stun onto Raffer will throw him now against the wall with the help, and Panatom burns him right on out and makes it a 2-for-1 trade. Actually, I think a 3-for-1 here on the Leviathans.
You know, the initial push in onto Zeros made sense for the Leviathans. Sanctified Fields are down, Beads are down as well, so you got to think that that's an easy to execute gank. But I'm pretty sure Shinto whiffs Lovebirds, so Zeros just is allowed to walk out. Small skirmish around the purple buff should confirm it for Emilito this time. Zapman unsuccessful in sealing that objective away, but you're right, the fight does go the way of the Leviathans despite a disastrous start to it. And now what was a minuscule gold lead for the Valkyries trades hands, and it belongs to the Leviathans. 9 minutes in, 200 gold, but 700 experience or so to the Chaos.
Zapman missing that pillar stun. Emil just jumping up behind it. The classic case of on her throws the pillar. Well, I don't want to get hit by the on her, so I guess I'll just stand behind the pillar and not have to worry about anything. Panatom on the right side of the map with your core, trying to maybe clear away that totem or maybe go for a fight here. Ducky does get rooted out. The cripple comes through, and so does the Pillar of Agony. It's a quick leap out by Panatom and a dash by Yarkor. They want nothing to do with trying to deal with that Hades. Those protections coming in big for him. And now Zapman under his purple buff and needs a leap to get out, but Emil is waiting with open arms, but Emil may have been a little too close. Centaurus needs all 3 shots, but misses the first 2, gets the third one, and ultimate out of Zapman, not enough. As the ult out of Raffer and Emil's basic attack damage is enough to grab him.
Rongyu, though, has got his eyes set elsewhere. That's the Sanctified Field from Zeros, pushed back in towards both Panatom and Shinto. Easy pickup for the Leviathans here. Johnny hovering in the air, thinking about maybe engaging. and thinks better of it. Just going to hover around and keep tabs on him, I suppose. Drop down to half mana and loses out on the ultimate cooldown.
Zero's had his beads that whole time. At what point was he trying to wait and see when he needed to use them? I guess maybe he just decided, well, I'm surrounded no matter what. I guess I'm not getting out of here. He holds on to the beads. He'll have them for the next fight, but Sanctified Fields still down at the end of the day. It's Pyromancer that's going to go towards the Leviathans after a pick in the mid lane. Rapper just barely gets that tier 1 tower, and the minions almost finish the job. He is able to walk out, but he has to use the relic to get away because Zapman is right around the corner.
He was, and now with no tier 1 towers, Zapman doesn't have many places to retreat to if the Valhalla Valkyries want to keep up their pressure on the long lane. And I think I agree with Zero's decision to not use beads. We've seen what happens when both Sanctified Field and beads are down, even inside of his own tier 2 tower. Can't feel incredibly safe on this Ola pick, so it says, I'm probably dead either way here. I might as well just hold on to some survivability so I'm not falling again afterward. Leviathans will have to work a little bit harder on the next gank. I like it. Good trigger discipline from the Valhalla Valkyries mid laner. But despite all of it, it still is a lead for the Leviathans. There still are neutral objectives left to be taken on the map. And you got to think, it's only going to get worse before it gets better. This Kali, this Aphrodite, they're starting to hit their stride here. Both level 12.
Level 12, second relic not up yet for Shinto. Hasn't had a chance to go back to base. And Raffer sticking around here in the mid lane, gets stunned out before he can even get to the leap. A knock-up and a root are good. And Wrong You will throw the Furious Roar under the tower just for some extra poke. Raffer looking worse for wear as he has to depend on Zeros and Johnny to make sure to keep everybody else out so they don't dive in towards this tier 1 tower. But Panatom, got to be careful trying to go for this red buff steal.
Panatom takes a lot of damage. Johnny on the chase forward. Destruction is still available, so Panatom not under major risk to his own life. Decent damage, though, from the Valhalla Valkyries. Does cost them a couple of ultimates. Raffer and Emilito forced to expend theirs.
Panatom gets a little bit of a refill on his chainsaw, and under the tower they go. Raffer tries to find a way out. Sanctified Field comes through. The knockup is good to delay them for just a little while longer, and Johnny comes crashing down from the cherry to dive in. Raffer gets a 2-man knockup and a Pillar of Agony from Ducky. Holds a couple in place, but Zapman teams up with Wrong You to take out Raffer at the end of it. It's 1-0 so far for the Leviathans.
The Leviathans are just going to keep sustaining up. Dash forward from Ducky here. Gets re-healed by Yarkor.
Takes a lot of damage, but Johnny is able to take it out, and Zapman goes through and picks up the double kill. Panatom charge up the destruction, and Zeros gets a knockback against Wrong You, who dove in, but it's a root in place to get the beads out of the Hunter. Now it's Zapman against Emily2. The 1v1 Hunter match is losing out with a stun afterwards. Shinto will make sure that Emil has got to run. Furious Roar dot. Not going to be quite enough. Needs a couple more hits if they want to get Emil.
Zapman making an aggressive play. Tries to loop his way back around, but is spotted out by the Valkyries. Emilito stopping his own back to try and reposition and not fall down in a lazy situation. The Leviathans, though, win out on the engagement, are able to resustain, pull the Gold Fury, and try and finish off the tier 1.
For an awkward 2-2 here, Shinto now being pushed away by Ducky, and Raffer will zone out Panatom and Zapman, who tried going for the Gold Fury. Raffer really wants to try and hold them back here, but Raffer may be stepping a little far forward. Zapman on this 1v1, he's got 4 levels up, but Raffer does have a decent amount of protections already with that fully evolved Gauntlet of Thieves.
Speaking of the builds on the side of the Valkyries, or maybe I'm not given that opportunity, as Raffer wants round 2.
Well, Raffer going for the 1v1. Zapman needs a little bit of extra help, but he's not going to get any. Instead, it's the barrier out of Raffer to put him down and close that coffin. Panatom and Shinto not able to get there in time to help out their Hunter.
No, not this time around. Zapman feeling himself a little too much again here. Just gets aggressive and gets punished for it. Raffer does trade out his ultimate at least, so the Valhalla Valkyries lose out on some survivability from their support as Emilito puts in a good deal of damage towards Panatom. Gonna get aggressive here.
Needs a couple of shots of Centaurus. Destruction is up, and Panatom will not even need it. All 3 shots out of Emil misses, but now with no ultimate, Wrong You can rotate over here and maybe try and get some punishment up against the Hunter and against Raffer. They'll both be safe. No real danger and no threat in the dual lane of the Valkyries. Raffer, though, is a little bit low on mana, but he's got the rest of his team around the area to kind of keep him at bay.
Well, they're doing the thing. Triple Hunter composition, looking at an objective. 50% on the Gold Fury. Zero's going to join the squad. That one's going down absolutely for free. Valhalla Valkyries, credit for the first neutral objective. Put the lead firmly in their hands. Gold and experience controlled by the Chaos. The Leviathans going to have to try and find an answer elsewhere on the map. Could be an answer in a Greater Scorpion, could be a back camp, could be a gank attempt from Panatom.
Well, Ducky is waiting by. Panatom spots him out, and Panatom has already taken a quarter of his health just by walking up and slamming a couple shots in him. Johnny is there just to make sure that he doesn't go too much further forward. Panatom now connected back to Shinto will allow Panatom to start shredding through this greater Scorpion. It is an Odysseus bow, and a Shinsai is picked up by the jungler. Rapper wants to steal that Scorpion, but he's not going to walk up far enough. Instead, it's an ult out of wrong U to pick up Zeros, but Zeros is doing just fine. Instead, it's a Pillar of Agony and a Sanctified Field to get every relic possible out of Leviathans to try and find their way out.
It's just the Undying Love this time around. Beads are still held on to by the majority of the Leviathans here. The Valhalla Valkyries utilize 2 of their most important teamfight ultimates and do not hit pay dirt.
Johnny up on the chariot. Where's he going to land? Who's he going to dunk on? That's the ultimate question for the jungler. Maybe Wrong U needs a little bit of help. He's down. Johnny dunks down on Wrong U, but he doesn't find the damage. Instead, the pillar by Zapman holds him in place. He's going to have to use the Aegis just to try and get at him. Raffer playing the body block, playing the zone for him, and here's Ducky trying to help even further, but Panatom ripping into the backline. Destruction pop, and his target is going to be Emilito. The disarm holds him out for a little while, but he doesn't get the reset target he was looking for, but he does get the kill.
And he's connected up to Shinto, so he's going to get some more HP as well. Yarkor finds Ducky
no.
in the back. Good heal from the red buff. Keeps him alive for just a moment, but Shinto finds the stun. Shinto finds the kill. Back off, sends Ducky all the way back to base, and the Leviathans come up 2 for 0 in this team fight.
Even on the gold now, even with that Fury going down, the Leviathans have closed up that lead that the Valkyries have built, and Panatom is not done. He still wants to continue ripping through as many people and as many things as he can. Raffer now surrounded, knocked up, rooted in place, and holds him down so that way Panatom can deal the final blow. Raffer falls, and it's Zeros and Johnny under the tier 2 tower, while that tier 1 is being sieged by just the minions.
Meanwhile, on the left-hand side, it's Zapman going for a little bit of a split push. Going to force a rotation from either Johnny, Emilito, or both. Seems like it's just going to be Emilito this time around. Leviathans, they've hit their stride. We've seen now that the Kali is at fighting strength. Kinsize will do that for you, and now able to utilize that pressure to pick themselves up a Pyromancer as Zapman. He's got 0 regard for his opposition. He's just getting aggressive.
He's 2 levels up. He can go for this fight anytime that he wants to. Purple buff will not be stolen away. Emo wants to go for the chase against Zap, but maybe will think better of it. Shinto was lying around in that left side jungle. Johnny will go to the Oracle Harpies. Your core over here will try and drop this tier 1 solo, or maybe not worry too much about it and just instead go for a little bit of poke up against Ducky and walk away. The Leviathans have now netted themselves a 2,000 gold lead, and they were down earlier, so a 3K gold swing in the last couple minutes.
Man, the healing from the Leviathans so far has just been unchecked by the Valhalla Valkyries. I think maybe just one Brawler's beat stick here is as anti-heal selection, and it's on Raffer, of all people. Maybe that's a Pestilence being looked at by Ducky going forward. Maybe even a Shadow Steel Shuriken from Johnny, but this anti-heal has come very late in these builds for the Valhalla Valkyries, and the Leviathans have been flourishing because of it. It's not just Shinto. It's the healing from Yarkor. It's the self-healing from Destruction. It's the Aussie from Zapman, all going unchecked.
Zapman in the 1v1, can he win it out? Hits almost every single spear, gets an ult out of Emil, but now he's got to juke out enough shots of Centaurus. The third one doesn't hit. The Aegis buys in time for the second. Johnny comes through, but as soon as he lands, he gets slammed against the wall by Zapman, and Panatom and Wrong U are there to punish the jungler for even thinking about stepping up to Zap.
Zapman with the happy feet says, hey, line up your shots. Good luck, because I'm going to dodge them every single time. Raffer forced to use the ultimate defensively, but walks straight into Yarkor.
Yarkor is here, tries to surround him, gets the root and the knock-up right afterwards, and Panatom once again puts him down 8-0 and 4 on the Kali, a part of every single one of these kills that the Leviathans have.
Yeah, Kali's just a good god, man. Now that you don't have to build boots anymore, you hit your power spikes so quickly. It's a lot of the same upsides that you used to have with just about none of the downside.
Zeros, a beads, and a sanctified field are not enough to get him away from Yarkor. He has no regard for this mid laner. Dives under the tower, but Ducky holds him out for a little while longer, but it's Panatom here to try and rip right through. Needs the damage from the top right after, but Zero's Aegis only delays the inevitable, but Panatom doesn't get the reset in time. He does go down and trades out a 1-for-1.
He does. We'll see if Ducky and Emilito can do a little bit more to turn this fight. Shinto and Wrong U deep in enemy territory.
Shinto has to use the beads. Wrong U now loses that connection to his mid laner, but with no relic up for Emilito or those beads just in time to help him out. He'll get out of the ultimate, but Raffer leaping in onto Zapman. It's a 18-13 disparity between those two, and Zapman was more than comfortable taking a 1v1 earlier. He'll take a 1v1, especially if he knows he's got backup on the way.
or an Aphrodite kiss on him could also bolster your confidence a little bit going forward. But speaking of bolstered confidence, seems like the Leviathans are ready to look at the neutral objective. Oni Fury pulled out, and it's just Raffer in range as of just now to try and put up a defense. Johnny has ultimate available, but we saw what happened last time. He tried to dunk on a Zapman, maybe. Puts the fear of the Z-Man in him.
Hardcore with some predictions here. Gets one, but we'll hold that here as Zapman goes up against Johnny Aegis out of the Jungle Hunter. He'll go down. Yarkor spots him out here, and Yarkor again going to try and hold Raffer away, who was trying to make his way back towards that Fury, but Hardcore was right on his tail and said it's Emil and Raffer in danger, and ult out of the support will make sure to give him an extra little bit of health and safety, and may have just bought enough time and space for Emilitu to make it out.
Emilitu makes it out, but the Leviathans can just go back to what they were doing beforehand, and that was an objective. By the way, the Oni Fury pulled out yet again. Raffer, yet again, the only one in range. Johnny now does not have the ultimate available or even feet to walk on, as he's going to be spending the next 20 seconds in the grayscale screen. The Leviathans have pushed themselves 3,000 gold in the lead, and that's before we add the Oni Fury, before we add all this farm that Panatom's been accumulating the entire time in the last 3 minutes. Doesn't show up to that engagement at all, does the jungler for the Leviathans. Instead, farms out speed, red, some back camps, just pushes himself even further in the lead. But experience means a little bit less at this point. 20-19, not the largest disparity between these two junglers. Gold, though, probably a little bit more in favor of the Kali. Build, a little bit more in favor of the Kali. Kill participation, 9-1 as opposed to 1-4. Seems like there might be a bit of a jungle gap here.
Yeah, 9-1-4, 1-4-1. It's not quite that 1 or 0-12 that he ran previously, so Johnny is staying alive a little bit more in these fights. Ducky, luckily for him, he does have a way to get over the wall, or I guess technically under the wall in this instance. He does get away from the onslaught of this chainsaw that Panatom is revving up. And Raffer may want to just walk away and think better of his decision to walk up to these guys.
Yeah, doesn't love his odds in that fight. Neither does Johnny, who nearly dies just for thinking he's allowed to stand on the lower left-hand side of the map. He's not dunking down. He's taunting. He's laughing. He's VGXing. But he's not going to dunk down here. I'd be willing to bet. No shot, he's willing. Instead, maybe head over to the left-hand side, double Hunter split push. That's not bad.
He can take down that tier 2 tower with the two of them teaming up, but Ducky's going to need some help on the right side of the map. He pops the thorns to try and dissuade Zap and Yarkor from fighting, but that's not going to stop them. They're just going to shred right through this Hades. They take down the tier 2 on the left side. And now with Panatom here, they might not be able to get this Phoenix. A quick Mez gets the stun away from Panatom, but he's still got it anyways. Destruction popped in. He'll chase down and shred away Emilitu for even thinking about trying to go. But Johnny does turn it around with a So Beautiful right after, but now he's got to fight up against Shinto. A good Mez may just be enough, and may create just enough space for Johnny to get out.
Yeah, Shinto shouldn't be able to chase here unless Johnny turns around to try and take the fight, and he does.
And he dies.
And he dies. Johnny could have walked. The W key is the only button he needed to press to escape that situation, and instead, my man turned his mouse 180 degrees to line up against Shinto, and he should not have. Full stop. End statement. 47 seconds left on the respawn for the jungle for the Valhalla Valkyries as the Leviathans take a leisurely stroll through the right-hand side of the map. Pyromancer the first stop on a two-man trip between Rongyu and Zapman.
4,000 gold, 7,600 experience, which matters a whole lot less in the experience column, at least now. Raffer is just standing and existing around these other two frontliners of the Leviathans. He wants to get in these fights. He's tried to get in these fights, but every single time that he does, it's Yarkor and Rongyu to say, no, stay away from my carries, stay away from our objectives. I dare you to walk forward. He will not do so. It is a Pyromancer for Zapman and the squad on the Leviathan. 17 kills to 6 now, and 14 of those Panatom has been a part of.
Man, I'm not putting anything this game at the feet of iRaffer. He's done really well engaging some of these fights. It's backline diff, man. So when Raffer goes in, he's like, hope one of my 3 hunters can land some auto attacks. When Yarkor or Rongyu goes in, he's, man, I guess if I'm close enough, Shinto's going to land back off, or maybe Panatom just shows up and kills them all.
Oh, maybe it's just Yarkor and Shinto who can fight against these guys. Sanctified Fields comes through, and the Bear continues to charge forward. This 2v, 4 is going in favor of Yarkor and Shinto. He'll pick up one, gets the stun after, and he was almost able to take out Ducky too. And with Shinto here, they might just be able to turn this fight around all by their lonesome. Panatom shows up just to add a little bit of extra fuel to the fire. Panatom picks up another kill and make it a double as he dives right down into the Titan. Oh, and by the way, Zapman and Emil are going for a 1v1. that Emil has so far lost, but Emil turns it around and gets the reset.
Good play from Emil. Centaurus able to keep him alive throughout all of it. Maybe an opportunity to go for the end here. I think it's the only win condition the Valhalla Valkyries have, so I gotta agree with this call.
He's got 5 minions to try and help him out. He'll pull the Titan for a little bit, but he doesn't have much health left. While the rest of the Leviathans are pushing up that left-hand side. Titan down to half health. It's just Emil to fight it against them. The backs have been stopped for a little while. Needs a couple more seconds to bide through, but the minions are gone. And so are Emil's chances of killing this Titan. Aegis expended. He may be able to get out with his life unless Yarkor can just continue the chase down. Yeah, Emil recognizes there is no escape here, and Yarkor will let the mystical male end the job.
Hey, nearly able to do it, Emil. An admirable attempt from the ADC of the Valhalla Valkyries to put an end to this game, and he exposes a win condition. It wasn't all for naught. Now that Titan is going to be dropped below half HP. That left side Phoenix isn't going to come back for a good bit of time here. The Leviathans can't go for the end just yet either.
We'll get to see a front row seat to Emilitu's solo kill up against Zapman. He ate quite a few of those spears, jukes out the impale after, and then he just needs 2 shots because of how much damage. He's hit for 400 plus just at the base, plus everything else that came alongside it with the help of that bluestone in the crusher. A nice little turnaround there by Emil.
Yeah, that's what the mace tree will do for you, man. It is so much damage output. Yeah, seems like Doug thinks we could be looking at a backdoor attempt from Johnny. It'd be one of the higher impact plays we've seen from the Apollo Ultimate so far, and certainly potential for it. I'm not sure that I like Johnny's odds in a 1v1 up against the Titan, but let's see.
Oh, there he goes. That's a big quarter or more of his health bar gone. But it seems that Rongyu is waiting at the gate in case Johnny does dunk in. Instead, he'll go towards Shinto, has to get the ultimate out, and it's a triple engagement up onto the mid laner. But he's got Aegis, he's got beads, he's got ultimate, he gets out, and now Rongyu can try and turn this fight right back around. Panatom pushed away by the berry out of Raffer. Ducky, well, he's got nowhere left to go. He does use the escape to try and get out, but the gap has slowly been closed through, and he will not live at the end of it all. It's Panatom who puts him down.
Meanwhile, on the right-hand side, Zero's hiding in the fog, waiting for an opportunity. Unlucky, bud. You've been spotted.
Yeah, but Yarkor decides to walk over, sees the fog has been exposed, says, I wonder if someone's chilling out here. He'll go for the 1v1. Raffer gets picked up by Rongyu, and all that shield, well, it's already gone. And throw a Sunder on there to boot. Zapman can just go for the boxing matchup against Raffer. Maybe with the help of Panatom, they can turn around. Emil, though, waiting in the wings. Emil could instead just turn around and try and go for the end of the game here. It's just a distraction by Raffer. Emil dashes in, but the minions spotted him out, and Rongyu was waiting at the Phoenix. A good try, Emil. I respect the attempt.
Yeah, well, now he's probably dead. Maybe he can turn around the 1v1 onto Zapman, though.
A lot of damage back to him. Relics are down on Zapman. Doesn't have the Aegis, and Emil doesn't get the reset. Panatom will chase him out, and Zapman will put the final basic through his dome just to put him down. 25 kills. Let me correct that. 26 kills now for Leviathans up here, 28 minutes in.
All right, Leviathans, you're having plenty of fun. I can see it. Your Phoenix is coming up shortly. Let's put the final nail in the coffin here, boys. It's time to mercy kill the Valhalla Valkyries. It's only about, 40 seconds away from this Phoenix respawning, and once it does so, the Leviathans will no longer have to concern themselves with the backdoor on the Titan, and it could open up the opportunity for them to put an end to this match. The Valhalla Valkyries have been unwilling in the last 18 minutes to group up as 5, and I think they're right to do so. The only way this composition can work is if you're able to split up the Leviathans in a 2v2 situations, 3v3s, 3v1s if you're lucky. Those are the odds the Valhalla Valkyries are looking for if they want to win out on these engagements. Fire Giant respawning in about 35 seconds. Left side Phoenix in a couple of seconds. The Leviathans now, finally, able to leave their base.
Panatom and Rongyu were waiting until that Phoenix came back up, just in case there was some kind of sneaky attempt out of Johnny to go for a backdoor, a Hail Mary play. But now with the Phoenix up, there is no chance for Johnny to make that kind of a hero play for the Valkyries. Instead, it's back to fight, back to farm, and Leviathans are shored up to close out this game. It's a 9,000 gold lead. Nearly everybody fully 6-slotted. Just Rongyu needs to upgrade that starter item, and it'll be a full 6-slot across the board for Leviathans. Raffer gets spotted out in the jungle. Zapman puts a little bit of damage onto him, but not a whole lot. Raffer not quite deterred here, especially with Zeros waiting right behind him. They could try and turn this one right back around on the Hunter, but they got Panatom waiting by.
Don't be deceived, J-Mac. That was Nemean blocking a couple of auto attacks. Zapman chunks Raffer right now, just waiting for those stacks to come back to him before I think Raffer going to be confident again, stepping up. But take a peek at the other Valkyries. They're near the fire giant. They've got it pulled, and it's burning pretty
Emil
quickly.
may have just leashed everybody towards him. There's 5 of the Leviathans chilling around, but Zapman now spots that. It's a Pillar of Agony by Ducky, and the Valkyries sneak away a fire giant by baiting out the Leviathans, and that Titan didn't go back up to full health, and neither does that Phoenix. Raffer and Zeros divert the attention of the Leviathans. They get the fire giant, they get the Phoenix, and maybe they can get a couple of players out here. Raffer's just going to sacrifice his life so that way Zeros can get out.
Zeros is on the retreat, but Yorkor might have just spotted him. Here's the chase. Blink forward.
Bear goes through. The beads are down, and there is no ultimate now for Zeros. He's got to go in the 1v1 up against the Bear. And so far, it's an even trade between them, but Yorkor has tons of abilities at his disposal. Oh, and by the way, he's got a Kali. Panatom will jump right into the fray and put down Zeros. 17-2 on the Kali.
Double Hunters starting to move their way forward, trying to put an end to this Titan of the Leviathans. It's Wrong You on sole defense duty. Can he do it? 1 versus 2 up against Johnny and Emilito.
They'll walk right in, and with that Fire Giant, they'll just maybe even walk towards the end, but Yorkor is here to stop that party right in its tracks. Johnny and Emilito do not stand a chance against the frontline menaces of the Leviathans. Emil, well, he'll try his darndest to stay alive, but it's not going to do so. It's a deicide by the Leviathans, and now they have the opportunity to walk up this left side, end the game. Left Phoenix down, it's only Raffer to defend, and the Titan, well, it doesn't have nearly enough help to stop the Leviathans. Game 2 in the books.
A goofy game 2, to be sure. The Leviathans come up 2-0 now, set point for the top-seeded team in the league. The Valhalla Valkyries, though, they've been throwing weird questions. How do you answer questions to a test you haven't studied for? Well, somehow the Leviathans figured out a way to do it.
And they come with this triple Hunter composition and Nike support that we haven't seen. We've seen the Hades, so at least there's one checkbox that they were able to check. They're going, okay, Hades, we know what to do against that. Just took them a little bit while to go through here, but the Leviathans come up with a 2-0, and we're going to take it to the desk right after.
Peace through tyranny.
Pathetic fools! There's no escape!
Transformers. Let's roll out.
That's right. You can rep whatever team you want with whatever jerseys you'd like, or if you can't choose one, there's 2 options for you. A, buy all of them. That's the more expensive
that one.
option. B
Go with that
is to go and buy the just generic SMITE Pro League brand stuff that you can get. It has all the league merchandise. I wish I was wearing one of my SPL shirts that I could show off here, but there's what they look like.
I think we should stop advertising this as like, if you can't decide. If you think that you want to be on our team.
Yeah, you know what?
Like, because this is kind of like our jerseys, right? Like, we are the SMITE Pro League team.
True.
So if you want to be on our team, this is the merch you get.
And aren't we the real winners because we get to watch every SBL game?
Not that last one.
That's shop.smiteproleague.com. Now you can go on about it. So not that last one.
Yeah, look,
I watched it. I know
yeah, here's the deal, okay?
Yeah.
We're getting close to Worlds time. Every game means a lot. It's all very serious, Sometimes you need a little comedic relief,
And when you're in a set where, ultimately nothing's going to change
Nothing's going to change no matter what happens in this set. You got to let loose. You got to blow off a little steam, if you will. And that's, I think, what we saw there in game number 2 was a lot of back and forth fighting. Not a lot of reason for it, but
they did it.
Hey, the Valkyries nearly killed the Titan. They were very close.
There was at one point, I remember we were watching, Emil walked into the base. If he had waited 5 more seconds, the minion wave might not have caught him.
See him. Yeah.
And he might have been able to get away with it. I know that Wrong Hue was hanging around the base, though. So, no guarantees for that one. Panatom has the time of his life on this Kali, it feels like, at least in terms of damage numbers, he was able to outplay. Same thing for Zap. Shinto had a good performance. Hardcore just gets to chill and do whatever he wants. It was a good game for the Leviathans.
Yeah, I mean, Panatom gets to boost the numbers in this game for sure. 10.25 KDA, like 17 kills on the Kali. I mean, when you get to play Kali in this type of game, when no one is grouped and organized, and you get to take isolated 1v1s and 2v1s and 1v2s, you're going to get a lot of kills. And Panatom did exactly that. So, kind of as expected for the way that this game was going. But it is good to show that that's a pick that he might pull out at the playoffs or at Worlds, and it's a type of pick that teams do have to account for, because if you come in without a game plan for the Kali, she will just win.
Well, and there's your bad news, Panatom. 17-2-7. You just showcased that you can, in fact, play Kali.
Big mistake.
Look, I'm going to start banning it now if I'm thinking about it, or at least if I'm planning on like Cthulhu comps. We're going to be banning it based on what we've seen. Yeah, a lot of good damage. You get good healing there from Shinto on the Aphrodite.
That's a lot.
A lot of fun had by the Valkyries, I'd hope, from what they did there. Johnny did not do as bad this game as he did the last time we saw him play Apollo Jungle, which was a ludicrous like 0-12. That had prompted a long discussion about how many people had gone 0-blank and what it was. And luckily for him, he's not the top of that list. He's still in the top 5, though, and that's bad news, Bears.
Yeah,
Either way, we'll see what they can do in Game 3, if it's going to be the same kind of conversation from the Valkyries, or if it's going to be maybe the hardcore buckle down out of nowhere.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be more of the same, to be honest with you. That's my guess.
I hope it gets weirder.
It's possible.
I want the Leviathans to be on the Valkyries level too.
Well, there were mages in that game. There were hunters. There were guardians and warriors and assassins. Like, they had it all covered. That doesn't necessarily have to happen.
That happens in a lot of games, though, as it turns out.
Well, it should happen in a lot of games, but sometimes in
this should be only mages.
That is a possibility.
There's enough of them.
There are enough of them.
You could ban 10 mages and still have 10 mages.
Yeah, you still easily could. But we'll see. I don't know. I mean, like I said, this set, everything is already determined on what's coming out of this set. So I don't really have a huge problem with them having some fun.
Well, Loki, Umoja, they're the exact same as was last time. So far, this feels very serious for both of these teams. It's going to be, when we see the top 2 from the Valkyries, maybe that things start to shift up. The RDO as well was something that was really, really solid there for hardcore. Terra, Soul get banned out alongside those top 2 bans. Last time around, it was the Odin here and then the Hell on the other side from the Valkyries. And then it opened up a whole different conversation, because once you get rid of 6 gods, there's still like 110 left.
Yeah, there's still plenty left. So it is the same bans. I believe this was RDO first pick here for the Leviathans last time around. So look, if the game's going to be a bit of a fiesta, RDO very good in fiestas. She parties well. and that's what they're going to go with. So, you know, RDO, you want to talk about being someone that you want to invite to your party. I think RDO would be good at a party. Like, being able to turn into a bear on a whim would be a great party trick, for sure.
It is weird. We should have, like, the next tier list shouldn't be, like, which gods are the greatest, who's the most fun to play. It should be who's the most likely to have fun at a party.
Baron Samdi, S plus tier.
S plus tier.
No one else
has
should
to be up there somewhere.
Bacchus has to be up there. No one should be in the same level as Baron, though. Baron should have a tier all to him. It should be Baron tier,
and then everyone else.
And then everyone else. Bacchus Bacchus would be up there, though, for sure.
Well, we're getting a different look now from the Valkyries.
5
Cerberus
Guardians, maybe?
And Athena have been locked in. Yeah, I'm a little worried about it. Look, I like Guardians as much as the next guy. Actually, you know, let's see. Ymir can do really good ability damage and good auto damage, honestly. Yeah. I'm trying to think of where else you can go with that, because Ymir's the only one that I've ever really siphoned between the two. And it doesn't happen often.
Listen, you can easily make a 5 Guardian comp look pretty good. Up against, like, RDO Kamazat Heimdall, probably not.
But it comes with a caveat. Like, it'll look pretty good, like, generically in your casual arena game.
Yeah, exactly. You can make it work. Oh, a Raw game here for the Valks. I mean, look, you got good setup between the Cerberus and the Athena. Athena taunt into Raw Snipe. A tried and true combo that works very well. Healing, if it's going to be a degenerate game, healing helps you a lot because you want to regenerate whenever it's degenerate outside.
If it's going to be a degenerate game, I've got 3 gods for you.
Okay.
I want Iset, Nox, or Zeus locked in somewhere around.
Have they not been played?
They have not been played this year. I was going to say Vulcan because of his recent buff, but those are the only 3 who haven't been played this year.
Really? The only 3?
Iset still blows my mind. She was decent for a while there. Nobody touched her.
Well, she got played a lot in the SEC land. She was getting picked, like, in mid and support. Like, they were playing her. So maybe. It's possible, though. I don't know if you need a whole lot more magical damage. The AMC comes out for the Valkyries instead. AMC, again, low cooldown ultimate. If you're tossing that stinger and hitting it, you can pick it up. If we're brawling all the time, I get lots of stingers. That feels good to me.
Well, I'll be happy if Vulcan gets locked in here, because he was somebody I was going to talk about before I remembered I had a list of gods that hadn't been played, because he just got that, like, cooldown buff on his ult.
Right.
And I saw Raw and immediately thought, if I'm trying to whip out as much damage as possible to match that guy, full cooldown Vulcan level 20 might be the only one that could do it.
I think Vulcan is a little sleeper right now. I think Vulcan's kind of low-key good, to be honest with you. He's not insane, but he's, like, fine. He's a good late-game mage. And here's something that I do think that we actually have in this game that we're missing in the meta right now is I'm waiting for teams to just pick secure mages and splice objectives, which is you just walk there, do it in their face, secure it in front of them, and then leave. And go, all right, we'll see you later. And then just do that over and over and over again. Splice made that work really, really well in past seasons, and you can do that with Vulcan and Ra. So maybe this is the beginning of a new beginning, if you will.
So now, the question for you becomes, you know, Athena, Cerberus. Athena we've actually seen jungle.
Yeah.
So maybe I can't count that out just yet. But Ra, AMC, Uller, like somebody here has to be going to John.
I think it's AMC. AMC jungle would be bad.
It used to be, when he came out, it was really good, but he was also broken.
Yeah, he was really good.
You could cover a full line from left to right.
You could probably Uller jungle, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, you've got lifesteal, gank potential, you've got a leap for engage.
Like you're building Bumbas half the time on that god anyways?
Yeah, you're just playing Hunter. That's what he's trying to do.
All right, I'm going to go Uller jungle, but alternatively, an AMC Uller duo lane with Athena support. That is what I'm saying could be, or Athena jungle rather.
I thought you meant Athena. 3 people in one lane, and I was like, you know.
I mean, that's not impossible.
What if they just forego the jungle in 2-1-2?
It isn't season 0 anymore, so I don't think it would be great. There's like a lot of farm in the jungle for you to be taking, and it's like easy to do it whenever you have the jungle starter items. So I would think that they should have someone in the jungle.
For those of you who are listening, that was Aggro's, like, he put on like dad gloves to handle the dumb question I asked.
Well, I mean, it was a for fun question, and I gave you a less for fun answer, I suppose. You were having fun there.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd say something. Yes, no, genuine.
Okay,
because I'm thinking of fun things that you could do with this kind of composition. Raw jungle's another one that I was going to throw out there. It exists.
Okay, flashbang Raw do be banging though. Okay? You pre-pop the 2, you wait for it to be about to go off, you blink in 2-1 at the same time, they're gone.
Well, let's see what the Valkyries have in store for us here in Game 3.
I'm curious where this is all going to lie out amongst this, and we'll find out here in a moment. It is going to be the raw mid, but it'll be the Uller jungle coming out of Johnny this time around. Raffer on the Athena, Ducky on the Serb, and then the Muzenkob going over into his duo lane. It's J-Mac, it's Mifflin, it's Doug in game number 3 of the set. We're going to see a Vulcan. We're going to see a little bit of fun coming out of both these two teams here in this third game.
You know what? It's come to my attention now that Johnny is not content with being a jungler. He wants to be a hunter. I mean, it's just the truth. He's the only guy bringing out hunter jungles. This time, Ull. And you know what? If I had to pick a hunter to go in the jungle, it's either Ull or like on her. And I think I'm taking Ull over Apollo every single day of the week. He's got much better gank potential. The team fight for the Valkyries, this might be one of their best late-game team fight compositions in this set, barring Game 1, so maybe the second best. Game 2, not so much. This is one that I could realistically see the Valkyries taking it to late and winning.
It's kind of the Lumberjack Uller. That's an old challenge I used to remember exists. You only stay in accidents. It's not great, because then you don't have your bow, which does the most damage out of your kit.
Yeah, you're missing half
but
your
Lumberjack but the Lumberjack in the jungle, you know, just for the fun joke out of that. That's really all that challenges exist there, is just to have some fun with the name. Lumberjack in the jungle, cut down trees, cut down enemy gods. But a minute in here, and we don't have any deaths just yet. So even despite all the fun scrapping that we've been seeing in the first couple of games, there'll at least be a little bit of a slower pace out of these two teams to start it up.
It will be. For now, the gank potential of Ull gets a lot better once he ticks over towards level 3. He's got a similar jungle path as some of these other gods. But Zero's jungle pathing may have got him caught out.
Wrong you with a nice blink to try and lock him down, but he gets the beads out of the mid laner. Zero's, he just wants to get back to lane. He's saying, come on guys, I just want farm. But Wrong you will not let him go back quietly towards lane. Instead, he's going to have to let Johnny get some of that farm. Now Raffer's going to make a rotation over, dash in. Doesn't have the taunt to his name just yet. The Vampire Bass need to heal him up, but he doesn't get it back in time. It's Johnny who puts down Panatom for first blood.
Raffer now isolated, stunned out, and falls down to Wrong you. Easy return kill for the Leviathans. Johnny, though, he's got a significant lead. He solos a wave in mid. He's farmed up the jungle. He gets first blood for himself. Johnny has a pretty large lead over Panatom, now about a nearly an entire level, maybe close to like 700 gold as well. That's pretty nice for an Ull. You want to get items sooner rather than later. It's going to be a lot of maces for the Ull out of the jungle. I'm excited to see how he builds this one out.
I'm kind of excited to see what Shinto goes on this Vulcan. We've only seen him, I think one other time this year, and that was in Venenu's hands. But as Gore was right to highlight, he did get a recent buff to his ultimate. Cooldown's going to be down to, I think it's now 70 seconds at max rank. When seeing a decent amount of cooldown come out of these mid laners, you can see some of those ults flying once we come towards late game.
Yeah, now that cooldown scales down as you level it, and with Chronos Pendant and some of these other items going into the late game, you're essentially matching Ra's ultimate timer. I mean, with the Chronos Pendant passive, you might get that down to like 40 seconds, just about. I think that Vulcan is hard to perform on, to be sure. That ultimate is not consistent by any means, but a significant buff to the quality of life means that we could probably see a little bit more Vulcan in the future.
Could see some interesting dropship plays out of Wrong you here on this Horus. Something similar kind of in the vein of a Giannis. You drop a bunch of portals for your whole team to walk in a straight line towards the base. You can do something kind of similar with that Horus ultimate. Pick up your team, drop them out wherever you want to go. Whether you go for a fight, whether you try and get your team out. A lot of utility towards that ultimate. Curious to see how Wrong you pulls it out here in game 3.
Yeah, I am as well. Wrong you, no stranger to the Horus pick. Ducky, no stranger to being ganked in his tower.
Falling low, tier 1 tower is just enough protection. In fact, turns it around with a nice paralyzing spit up against Panatom. Puts him down to a quarter of his health bar. And Ducky does move on. He'll stay alive here. Panatom and Hardcore are not able to seal the job. Instead, Ducky walks out. And on the left side of the map, it's Wrong you and Zapman teaming up to take out the Harpy. The purple buff not quite up yet because Zapman did drop that one earlier. Shinto goes back to base to start getting his first items online. He doesn't have enough for a full item. It's only going to be tier 2, that restored artifact.
You know, I think had Yarkor gotten into the tower first for that solo lane gank, could have very easily turned it around, but unfortunately for Panatom, he got in the tower first, so he's not able to stick around and land some auto attacks on Ducky. Nearly falls down to the paralyzing spit on the tail end as well. The Valhalla Valkyries have been doing a good job so far this set of just bringing the fight in the early game. The Leviathans have just been withstanding for the most part, except for Zapman, who has been trying his hardest to turn around every single engagement that comes his way. I'm keeping my eyes on the Z-Man for the rest of this set.
Your eyes on Ducky, another rotation over. Ultimate only picks up Panatom. Yarkor is sticking to Ducky like glue, but the slow coming out of that ghastly breath is holding them off. Now with Johnny rotating over, the axe hits Panatom, a leap in by the jungler of Vampire Bats, and the bat out of hell from Panatom to chase out Ducky, but maybe he should have turned his sights towards Johnny instead. Screech is good. Johnny leaps in, and he gets him with the axe toss, threads the needle, goes right around Yarkor, and picks him up, and then Ducky with the paralyzing spin again comes big, and they make this 2 for 2, now a 2-kill swing for the Leviathans.
We'll see if the Leviathans can fight back elsewhere. It's an ult 10 from Rongyu.
Rongyu goes through Shinto with the ult from downtown. It's wide left, but Emil still gets knocked up by the meatball out of the mid laner, and Zapman puts him down with the Gallarhorn.
Zoning ultimates, but all you need for Leviathans this time around, but it does not take away from the miraculous plays that we saw on the right-hand side. Great axe from Johnny to slow down Panatom. Indecision from Panatom on who to target with the ultimate. Decides first swoop, going to chase out Ducky. Second and third, tries to finish off Johnny, but, you know, half in, half out, not going to work up against the Valhalla Valkyries. You've got to be more decisive on the side of the Leviathans. They're not out of it just yet, though. The Valkyries, that is. The early game lead is in their hands, 500 gold. It's about exactly what we've seen. I'm getting deja vu back to games 1 and 2.
I mean, the Valkyries have been doing well in these early game skirmishes in both of these games, and they're doing well just fine here, too. Raffer goes in. Zapman has to use the Bifrost to get away. Rongyu will dash out and make sure this dual lane gets to live on. But for now, it is the Valkyries with a small lead. But even with that small lead, Yarkor still wants to keep boxing back up against Ducky, but a nice little 2v2 on that right-hand side that looked like it could have gone so well for the Leviathans. A little bit of a split decision-making may have cost them on that side. Says Emily2 in danger now. Turns around, throws the stinger out, hits Rongyu, and across the honey he will walk. Into the grave he will go. Raffer gets taken out too, and it's going to be a 2-kill swing now on the dual lane.
So Zapman decided to use ultimate to finish off Raffer there, so a layer of safety lost for the Heimdall going forward, and that might come back to bite him with Johnny hovering on the edge.
Zapman in danger. Johnny leaps in. Axe is going to be beads by Zapman, but Zeros is waiting just in case Zapman tries to make a path out, but Johnny doesn't need that help. He says, Zeros, I'm glad that you're here. Now watch me run forward. Watch me walk in and get this. Well, he'll miss the axe toss. Panatom instead hits him on the tail end. Raffer is back, has that taunt ready. Panatom fired down, and it's a double kill for Johnny.
So Johnny has found a hunter that can work in the jungle. We'll see if Ducky has found a pathing out.
Shinto just a little wide on the ultimate. Ducky walks forward, but Yarkor will not let this Cerberus go, and neither will Shinto. Backfire is the one that seals the deal.
Man, there were so many fights that happened in the last minute. I'm not sure that I'm going to break any of them down because we're back in again.
Back right to another. Oh my goodness, that backfire did a lot of damage against Emily2. Double kill for the mid laner, Shinto. And Leviathans tie up the kills 6-6 here at 7 minutes.
So I'll admit some fault. I couldn't tell you exactly what just happened in the last 45-second sequence because there was too much to break down. Instead, I guess you could break down the state of the game. 6-6 across the top. Gold still favoring the Valkyries. Experience still favoring the Valkyries as well. And a couple of kills that are significant change things up. It's been a tale of 2 games so far in Game 3, whereas the Valkyries have been ahead in mid, jungle, and solo the entire time. It has been a significant lead for the dual lane of the Leviathans, 1 level apiece between Hunter and support.
Back to the purple buff fighting. Raffer gets a double taunt. Rongyu and Zapman will walk across quite a bit of damage from the honey. Stinger was expended there by Emil, but he does pick that one up and get a nice 80% cooldown reset on that ability. One of those few things about that AMC we don't get to see too often. We don't get to talk about it too often. That's mostly just because AMC doesn't often get to come out onto the battlefield. Zapman eats half of his health and damage. Rongyu tries to go in to buy him some time, and the Stinger once again out of Emil, this time against Rongyu.
Raffer should be able to reset relatively shortly. This fight's not over.
Emil still going for more. Does get the Stinger reset once again, but Shinto is right behind the fight. There might not even be a chance. The ultimate not even necessary, but Zeros coming through. Gets a snipe to at least make it a 2-for-1, taking out Zapman.
Man, you can see the smile on Rongyu's face. He loves it every single time his hunter falls down. Zapman goes to the grayscale, but the Leviathans are not too concerned about it. The pace of the game has been incredibly fast. We're talking 15 kills in 8.5 minutes, but the Valhalla Valkyries have not been able to extend their lead. They've been hovering at around this 1,000 mark for the entire game.
Rongyu just wants to go back to base, man. He keeps trying for it. Now he'll have an ultimate to try and dunk back in against Zeros. Panatom is waiting by. Fracture just off the mark, does get the knockup. Panatom comes through but misses the bats. And now it's Raffer who makes his return, and so does Zapman. Bifrost gets him back in. Wrong falling low, but Panatom now gets caught in the middle of 4, and the Stinger just off the mark, but it doesn't matter because Zeros has the damage to do it.
You know, it's usually ARAM. If you're going to just jam down your entire team down one lane, generally the mid lane, but seems like the Leviathans like to play around the duo, as do the Valhalla Valkyries. It's been a 4-stack on this left-hand side for the last 3 minutes.
Raffer with a dash taunt up against Zapman, takes a third of his health bar away. Wrong still sticking by, still alive at the end of it all. Man, it's not even feeling like area, man. It's feeling like we're like seeing just a larger arena map here because it's just scrapping across the board. Right side, we've been seeing fights. A lot of it on this left side of the map. You know, maybe if you turn the arena instead of the buffs being on the left, kind of have it, you know, buffs on the top. That's where the towers are. I don't know, man. I'm trying to justify it being an arena map.
Hey, you know what, J-Mac? You sold it to me, man. This is an arena game. I'm right there with you. Greater Scorpion gonna be taken down by the Valhalla Valkyries shortly here. So now the first neutral objective of the game has got a chance to spawn up. We'll see which team gets the better end of it. And I think we're going to see it relatively shortly. With as much action as has been happening in the duo lane, got to think whichever team wins out on the next crazy arena fight on the left-hand side should likely be able to net themselves a Gold Fury as well.
Panatom waiting around on the right jungle, but Shinto here on this mid lane. Vulcan staying alive. 3-0-3 for him. He's got 30% cooldown reduction online with that Soul Gem and Chronos Pendant. Ducky needs some extra defense, maybe some extra cooldown to help him out. Use the ultimate to throw 2 of them away from the tower, so that way he can leap back in. With 3 rotating over, Leviathans can go ahead and maybe drop this other Scorpion. That way we can have all of the major neutral objectives on the map at once.
Johnny and Zeros hovering here. Any form of CC could spell the end of any individual member of the Leviathans. Johnny, though, tunnel vision, has the horse blinders on, allows Shinto to just walk up, slam him with a meatball, and then immediately walk back away. Feels like we're teetering on the knife's edge right now. Both teams just waiting for their opportunity to engage.
Can we even call it the meatball, though? He's not using the Chef Vulcan skin. It is just the Magma Bomb, but I guess Magma Bomb's not as fun to say as meatball. Wrong goes in with a knock-up against Raffer, pushes him away. 3 from the Valkyries go through. It's an ultimate out of the mid laner and holds it up for Raffer to eat a huge chunk of damage, but some healing from Zeros on the tail end of the fight makes sure Raffer just going to make it out.
Yeah, double Earthshaker from Shinto is going to be enough to put the damper on Raffer's vibe. Now down to about 50% HP, won't be able to look for the engage anytime soon. That said, though, Wrong he's just being annoying, doing his best PBM impression, playing in the back camps.
Raffer is not too excited about that, and neither is Emil. Bees come through. Wrong eats a lot of damage, and maybe just too much standing still. Even a little bit of extra protection from that ult is not enough to save him, and Emil gets credited with a little bit of extra help there. 2-4-2 on the AMC. Not the most fun he's been having. Maybe even get some turnaround kills here on Zapman to help him out.
Maybe, but Zapman privy to how disadvantaged he is in a 2 versus 1 right now. We'll go ahead and back himself up slightly. Who am I kidding, man? Zapman's going to hover around as much as he can. Doug, can we get a peek at Emilito's ultimate, the Stinger? I believe it's 30% prot shred, but I'm not 100% on the numbers. Going forward, man, when Wrong decides to just channel that ultimate, well, he's just going to get slammed. That was a no prot shred. Am I crazy?
No, I could have sworn there's something. Maybe it's it might be in the next patch that's actually coming out that it's going through. So
sick.
Well, at least
exposed.
Now you guys know that in the next patch, potentially we will see some of that prot shred. Zeros, how did he lived on 1 health under that tower. It had to have been 1. If there's any chance that we can get a return investment to see there. Zeros ultimate is down, so he doesn't get a snipe out. Shinto low in mana. Ducky here. Shinto shouldn't make it out of here, but he's got some backup from Wrong and Panatom. Ducky and Raffer stopped in place by Wrong
And now it's Ducky and Raffer just trying to walk their way out of this engagement. Should have spelled the end of it this time around. Whenever Ducky or any other soul laner rotates out of lane, means you're trying to finish off or move yourself in towards some of those Gold Furies. Just got confirmation from production. Zeros lived with 19 more HP than he needed, survives with exactly 20.
Pretty impressive out of the mid laner. Raffer goes in for a taunt against Zapman. No beads for the Hunter, but Zapman is fine, trying to turn this fight back around. But how fine is he with Johnny and Emil sticking around? Raffer used the ultimate to disengage, lands right down by Johnny, but Johnny leaps out maybe a little too soon. Raffer in danger. Wrong in with his own ultimate, and ult from the mid laner. Johnny's able to juke out of it. The beads help him out, but the meatball and the stun hold him in place for Panatom to take him out.
You know, I know Shinto isn't playing one of his traditional gods or even a traditional god for the SPL, but It still is the Leviathans mid laner. That still is Shinto. You got to keep some eyes on him.
Wrong you finds Hemel, gets the beads out of the bead. Panatom no man, and now it's just Zapman. The rest of the team, Zapman goes in with the ult to cut off the path, and Hemel has nowhere to go, surrounded by a swarm of Leviathans. The bead goes down.
He does. Emelito going to spend 30 seconds of the grayscale thinking of his transgressions in the lane. The Leviathans 5 strong now, and with Yarkor rotating over, this could be a Gold Fury pull.
And they've got the turret. Turret's going to do some nice little poke damage up, 127 a hit. But that ability is hitting on there. It doesn't seem like a whole lot, but it all adds up as this Fury goes down. Raffer at the front, Ducky back behind them. Zapman and wrong. You have to be careful. It's an ult out of Ducky, but immune by the Galahorn from Zapman. A knock-up immediately afterwards. Ducky wants to find a path out. Fury has been stopped. An ultimate from Zeros does clip Zapman, and he's got to walk out.
Ducky taking a lot of damage here. Re-engage.
And stuck in the middle, and with Panatom and Shinto, they've got the damage to take him out. Raffer at half is trying to find a dash point out, but it may have been stopped. No, he just cancels the charge. Our core still sticking around, so is wrong you. Gold Fury stopped for now.
Watch out for Johnny. He's still got his entire kit available to him. Does not connect the axe, but Zero's in trouble.
Zero's using the heals to try and stay alive as long as he can. The Aegis buys him a little bit of extra time. The swipe, not enough. Raffer turns around and gets wrong you, and Yarkor sticks around too long. Johnny grabs him, and now Zapman has to run, but who's going to help Zeros in the backline? It's nobody. Panatom takes that one. Zapman hit by the Stinger, and the Bees passive after is enough for MLA2 to seal the deal.
So now double Hunter composition with both incredibly healthy. Raffer healthy as well. Could be a Gold Fury turnaround. Was the Leviathan starting it up originally, but now it's the Valkyries in a great position to try and confirm it for themselves. Shinto, though, hovering nearby, could just shake the earth and change up this map.
There is a ward by. He's going to go ahead and clear one out of his own. Gold Fury down to a core. It's the perfect opportunity to showcase what an objective steal can go through for the mid laner, but they leash it in time, so Shinto doesn't steal that away. Instead, Johnny holding him out here. Backfire from Shinto will instead push him further away from the Valkyries to take up that Gold Fury.
Good stuff from the Valkyries there, realizing that Shinto's only steal potential was around that ultimate. Good reset means that the Valkyries can go ahead and take it down without any concern, and a late rotation from Ducky is still impactful. Now it's wrong you and Shinto not allowed to rotate forward, and the Valkyries net themselves the largest separation of this game. 1,600 gold and as much experience.
Hard to believe it's only 1,600 gold, and that's the largest one that we've seen this game. But 12 to 12, maybe even hold that thought. Shinto picked up the ultimate by Zeros just off the mark, but there's no relics available to the mid laner, so Shinto goes down. Even the ultimate whipping wide, Zeros still able to seal the deal and close out the kill.
Shinto did not have Aegis for another minute, and beads expended means that on respawn in about 35 seconds, Shinto will still be exposed to some ganks from the Valhalla Valkyries. Johnny has very much impressed on this Uhl jungle. It's a bit of an unorthodox pick, but he's hit his power spikes, goes the Jotun's Wrath immediately into Transcendence Crusher, and he's stacked it up already.
Raffer goes in, Panatom finds Zeros. Zeros is also lacking in relics, and they'll make sure to body block him as best they can. Bat out of hell, needs all 3 swipes and some more, but the heal from Zeros under the tower may provide just enough for him to live. Instead, now maybe turn the fight back around. Raffer goes in, but he gets knocked out by Wrong Yu, taught back in, and an ultimate from Zeros connects this time, but Wrong Yu has just enough healing out of the Protector's Surge to get him out.
Yarkor, though, may have stepped up too far forward to defend his boy.
Paralyzing Spit misses. He's trying to find a path out if he can. Ducky is in the middle of all of them. Wrong Yu has not gone back just yet. A dash in from Raffer. Yarkor taunted back in and going so far back, and it's Johnny and Zeros to close it out, but a huge Earthshaker puts Ducky and Zeros in critical health. That man has to run out, but with no relics, he doesn't get to make it out. Johnny does the deed here. 7-1-6 on the jungle Uhl.
You know, yesterday we had a conversation on whether or not jamming it down is a viable strategy. In the current state of the SPL, the Jade Dragons, one of the premier teams to do it, were unsuccessful in going for a full W key composition. I wouldn't say the Valhalla Valkyries have drafted for entirely a W key, but it's working. It's how they're performing. It's the execution on field that they've attempted, and so far, it's net them 16 kills, a Gold Fury, and now a Pyro as well.
Raffer will be here just to tank it up, him and Ducky and Johnny to close it out. 18 is the level for the jungle Uhler. Even Zeros topping up their level 18, the 2 highest levels in the game. And, well, what's a Gold Fury? What's a Pyromancer? Well, let's add another Scorpion to the mix here. The Valhalla Valkyries now extend their gold lead upwards towards 6,000 up over the Leviathans here. 18 minutes in, Shinto with a big ult. We'll get the Aegis out of Zeros.
If Zeros' Aegis is down, Zeros goes down. Phenomenal use of the relic to maintain his life there. Level 19 on this Ra as opposed to Shinto's 17. And this is a position you do not often see Shinto in. This guy, even when his team is falling behind, generally has gotten so much farm for himself that he's at worst case even. 2-level deficit. This is new stuff for the Leviathans.
Of course, down 2 levels, Ducky here on this right side of the map. And going back to base now, Johnny picks up a Heartseeker. Vizul was already swinging for the fences. Well, now he's swinging for the stands back behind the fences at this point. Zapman level 16, he's 2 levels down. Emil, guess he just hadn't had a chance to go back to base with all the fighting. He goes back and picks up a full Heartseeker of his own.
So now his damage is also hit a critical tipping point. Now the Valhalla Valkyries, left alone with any individual member of the Leviathans, will likely win those 1v1s. Emilito up against Zapman. I'm favoring Emilito at this point. Zeros' damage output, a little bit less than you'd expect because he goes for a slightly more utility-focused build. Ethereal Staff and Lotus Crown. Gonna give him a lot of survivability.
Zapman's got to use the ultimate Stinger, chunking through his health. Johnny is here. Zapman, you might want to run as far as you can. Aegis used, but Aegis only delays the inevitable. Emilito grabs Zapman. Raffer spouts out Rong Yu inside the mist. And Panatom will just be here to try and dissuade Johnny from going any further forward, but an axe toss, and immediately the hail of arrows after. Johnny has got the bullseye to bring him down.
Simple plays from Johnny in the jungle, just landing all of his abilities despite the ping of playing from Serbia. The Valhalla Valkyries jungler. Less Apollo, more of this, please. This is looking much, much better.
Yeah, this is a crispy Uller coming out of here. 8-1-7 on the jungler. Been part of 15 out of the 18 kills and showing no signs of slowing down. Fire Giant is in the sights here for the Valkyries. They're not going to commit to it just yet. Yarkor gets spotted out in the mid lane. The double Hunters will try and collapse on him. It's an Earthshaker out of Shinto that puts Zeros at critical health. Yarkor tries to get out and he just manages to squeak by, but there are some bees and some honey laying down by Emilito to grab them.
The Valhalla Valkyries have effectively split the Leviathans throughout the entirety of the map. Zeros slowly licking his wounds in the jungle as Raffer just playing annoying up against Shinto.
Shinto taunted back in, but he's got his 2 relics. Rong Yu is here to try and play backup. He'll dash in with the heal towards the tower. Rong Yu is trying to find a path out for him and Shinto. Snipe connects, but Rong Yu is out. But not the tier 1 tower. It goes down, collapsing at the might of the Valhalla Valkyries.
Re-healing, thanks to Ra and Zeros, are the Valhalla Valkyries, ticking themselves all over 50% HP. Now realizing they've got a 5 versus 4 scenario on the right-hand side. Make that 5 versus 3 as Yarkor is still dead for 5 more seconds. Zapman shows himself on the left-hand wave, maybe looking for a purple buff invade as well as a tier 1 tower. But the Leviathans, 8,000 gold down, 21 minutes in. They've got to be concerned about their chances in a game 3. The Valhalla Valkyries, I think, head back to base, regroup, go to the Fire Giant, continue forcing fights.
They're 2 levels up for both of their members of the duo lane, 2 levels up for Ducky, so they got that, not just this 8,000 gold lead, but a large experience lead. Shinto sets down the turret to try and put some damage back against Johnny just by walking through. Meatball is good, but it's not going to do too much here. Shinto uses the beads, hail of arrows, a leap in by Johnny, and that's enough damage to put him down. Shinto goes out for the 2nd time this game.
He does. We'll see if Panatom will join him in the Grayscales. It's an aggressive rotation in. Nice ult from Zeros. Should spell the end of the defense from the Leviathans around the Fire Giant proper. This one burning quick.
Well, I mean, what's a Fire Giant to the Valkyries at this point? It barely has time to stand through. Less than 10 seconds, this one goes down. Valkyries pick up a major neutral objective while the Leviathans just try and mitigate as many of those wounds as possible. And Oni Fury and some Oracle Harpies just to net them something in the midst of that fight. But Shinto's still down for 20. Ducky and Raffer want to try and get it away. Leviathans do get the Fury. Can they get anything on the tail end of that Fury is the question. Ducky at a quarter health, zoned away and slammed through the realms, and Raffer will only be able to watch by as his solo laner falls back down to the Earths and then right to the Grayscale.
But what's happening on the other side of the map? It's a Phoenix attempt, and it's going down just as quickly as the Fire Giant did. Right side Phoenix will fall, and the Valhalla Valkyries will retreat on the tail end. Zapman, I think you essentially have to kill Raffer here, or you just cleanly lost an engagement.
Now it's 3 versus 3 on the right side, no 1 versus 1 on the left. Raffer doesn't have ultimate to try and slow this down. Johnny has to use the beads and leaps away from the might of the Leviathans, but now it's 4 versus 3 here because everybody is shown back up. Shinto is off of respawn. Yarkor dashes in aggressively. Rong Yu gets a stun up against Zeros, and the Earthshaker just off the mark. Zeros use the Aegis just in case. The Valkyries live through, except for Emily, who goes down, but Johnny at least makes sure to take down one with them, and Emil picking up Wrong U.
Post-mortem B's kill on a Wrong U is Johnny in some trouble.
Johnny down to half health, but he gets stunned against Jarkor, and then the heal drops from Zeros to seal the deal. Shinto now has to be the one on the run, and Zero's ultimate is back up. Can he find it? He does, but it's not enough damage. And meanwhile, all this time with all the fighting on the right side, I completely forgot it was Zapman versus Raffer.
It was operative. Now it's Zapman versus Raffer and Ducky in 2 versus 1. The Valks take that one.
Shinto just narrowly avoids the beam. Zeros avoids the meatball, but there's 2 here. Johnny is back. Johnny wants some revenge. It's 11-1-10 on the jungler, and Zeros at 5-1-8. It's a deicide on the Leviathans and the Valkyries. Still only up about 8,000 gold even at the end of the day.
3 still maintain Fire Giant on their belt, and Raffer rejoins the fight. Should be able to tank up this tier 2 for Johnny and make it go down pretty easily as well. The Leviathan's still on the respawn, and sure, it might only be an 8,000 gold lead now. Let's make that 9, 10,000. Pyromancer still available as well. You can steal away some of these buffs if you're Raffer, who's completely full HP. Now the Valhalla Valkyries, we get a good look at how well they can utilize this lead. Fire Giant power play still has plenty of time on it, about a minute and a half. I think they can just regroup, go for a siege.
Panatom does have that spear finally picked up and leveled up for his starter item. Bumba Spear online, 4 items deep, but you're looking across the board here. Johnny with a Bumba's Hammer and 5 other items right behind it. Ward dropped down by Panatom will spot out Raffer in the mist. Raffer doesn't going to make any kind of sneaky plays here against the Leviathans.
No, not this time. And even if he does, what's Raffer doing on his own? Well, nearly soloing Zapman, I guess, if we go off to going off of history. But maybe in a 1 versus 3, we don't love his odds nearly as much. I certainly don't. And Raffer tends to agree, it would seem, as he repositions himself to meet up with his team yet again. The Leviathans have done a good job pushing out those right side waves, so they don't have to contend with the fire minions as they defend the left.
It's 5 pushing up for the Leviathans. Some heals through. Wrong U goes into the back line, and Earthshaker clips him a lead 2. It takes half of his health away instantly, but Wrong U is also not looking too healthy. He's got to dash away, but Shinto popping up some big damage numbers on the Vulcan to try and zone these Valhalla Valkyries out. But the Phoenix is going down fast, half health instantly, just from a couple more basics. And an ultimate from Wrong U gets him right back into the fray. Ducky goes for an ultimate, but only finds Wrong U. It's a bat out of hell from Panatom to try and close the gap, but Zapman is the one who's so low.
The Leviathans now on the retreat as the Valhalla Valkyries re-engage.
Hardcore front line needs to try and keep Ducky out, but the healing out of Zeros is keeping all of the Valkyries alive. They might want to try and push to end out the game here, but everybody is up on the Leviathans. I'm not sure that they want to try and make that kind of a commit.
Not with Fire Giant just ticking off. Instead, Happy taking out both side lane. Phoenix's right side should respawn shortly for the Leviathans, but the more important of the two, the duo lane Phoenix, going to be down for the entirety of this next Fire Giant dance. Should start up in earnest in about 40 seconds here. The Valhalla Valkyries maintain their 10,000 gold lead. The Leviathans struggling to find their footing in these team fights. The disruption factor of Raffer, the damage output of both Johnny and Emilito, all so hard to contend with. 25 to 14, that is 39 kills, 27 minutes in.
Yeah, we're going. Not quite the 2 kills a minute anymore. We had it for a little while there, but now as we start getting deeper and deeper in towards this game, Valkyries still continue to extend that lead, 10,000 up. Experience doesn't really even matter anymore. It's only Wrong U and Raffer. Not quite at 20, but Raffer does have a 2-level lead up. Pyromancer started by the Valkyries and surely will go down towards them as no one from the Leviathans wants to step up to try and defend this smaller neutral objective.
Instead, maybe trying to find a 1v1 on the opposite side of the map. Seemed like Emilito was almost going to rotate into the duo lane and line up against Zapman, but instead, why risk it when you're getting a Fire Giant with 0 opposition? The Leviathans, well, they'll get something in exchange. The Primal Fury will go down here, but the Valhalla Valkyries certainly come out ahead in that trade.
They get the Fire Giant, push up the left side lane here for the Leviathans, so they get a Primal Fury. That'll help them out. Well, maybe later if the game goes all the way towards another Fire Giant, they can have a little bit of extra burn against it. But outside of that, the Leviathans coming up at a wash in that trade out here. The Valkyries with that left side Phoenix still down, no towers left standing in their way. They can walk up either of these lanes. They can jam it down mid and break that Phoenix, or try and go for that weakened one on the right side.
3.5 minutes the Valhalla Valkyries can play with this Fire Giant. And how does their siege look? It looks incredibly strong. If it's an axe from Johnny that starts the fight, Johnny's dropping just about anybody from the Leviathans to 50% or even to the grayscale, depending on who it is. If it's Blinken from Ducky with Stygian Torment, he's at least burning some of those beads as well. Got to think that the Valkyries will want to work through the weakened Phoenix first. That right side Phoenix is as healthy as it's going to be at about 50% HP. The Valhalla Valkyries, they're starting to work their way forward with some of these minion waves. I think the Valkyries can slow play this siege. They don't need to fully dedicate themselves to the engage because the Leviathans, they didn't push up that left side wave too much. Clears out one more wave of the Leviathans on left, and then all of a sudden, fire minions leaking into the base.
They've left Johnny by himself in the mid lane. A double taunt in, gets the beads out of Shinto, but it's an ult expended by Zeros to try and go there, but he's got enough cooldown in the build. He'll have that one up very shortly. It's an alternate timeline, actually, out of the mid laner. Didn't even notice that until just now that Zeros is picked up, but Ducky doesn't care. He's going to go right into the back line to try and hold them out, but Ducky is one who's got to leap away. Right side Phoenix goes down, wrong you. Half health instantly, and the meatball from Shinto tries to delay and get his support out of there. Zapman falling low too.
And now it's all about the retreat from the Leviathans. They need to get back into that fountain and resustain themselves, as does Raffer, who's going to be benefiting not only from Fire Giant, but the heals of Zeros. The Valkyries, they can go back in.
Wrong you. Ultimate here. He'll dunk down and find only the frontliners. It's an ultimate in and an Earthshaker in the back line, but it doesn't get a whole lot of damage with all the Aegises popped through. Johnny down to half health. Zapman picks up Ducky. Raffer manages to make it out thanks to the help of the ultimate, but Shinto and his team able to at least grab one for their troubles.
The Leviathans would have loved to keep up the chase for that fight, but they're not given that opportunity because of all those minions working on their Titan. Drop down to 50% HP.
Good lord, Shinto is starting to chunk through these health bars, but Emil has to deal with a bear that is staring right him in the face. Meatball comes through, hits Emil yet again, but they're healing up so much under this health just coming out of Zeros. I mean, that heal is doing so much. There's so little anti-heal to deal with it.
And it's all out of combat healing as well, so even if you do pick up anti-heal, how much is it going to stop you?
Dash taunt in, and Shinto used the Aegis a little too late, but a body block in. Make sure the mid laner goes through. Earthshaker one more time. This time, only manages to grab Raffer. Emil sitting nice and healthy. Wrong you and your core again, trying to zone them out and keep this mid Phoenix alive if they can, but left side is the one about to be under siege. Zapman has to be all alone to keep the minions out.
Mid Phoenix will fall here. The Valhalla Valkyries doing a great job of just taking out all of these objectives. Now only one Phoenix standing between them and the exposed half HP Titan of the Leviathans. Leviathans essentially can't take a base defense in their base. They have to fight either on Phoenix line or even further out. The Valhalla Valkyries have got that much burn that if they're given 2-3 seconds alone with the Titan, or not even alone, contested, they might just kill it.
Raffer will tank up the Phoenix so that way his double hunters can go ahead and take that one out. So it's all three Phoenixes gone for the Leviathans. Into the back line goes Wrong You, pops the Curse Donk, and Yarkor will follow right behind. Panatom leaps in, and Johnny has to use the Aegis, and ult at a Zero doesn't find much. And Johnny is just trying to live as long as he can, but Panatom will make sure that his expiration date comes out here. And Shinto throws out the ultimate, doesn't find anybody. It's Emily too low in the back line. Emil does manage to pick up Panatom, and it's just the frontliners trying to kill them out with the healing. Will not be enough to save him out, and so far, it's 3 down for 2. For the Valkyries.
Wrong You able to disengage with the entire time. The base has been broken by these minions. What is that, 1,000 HP? The Valkyries, once Zero's ultimate comes back up, maybe a beam plus ult just kills it.
Raffer and Zeros, the only ones left alive for the Valkyries to try and take this one away. Ultimate is up for Zeros. Raffer will go in to start it up, and he's got a minion wave right behind. And the Valhalla Valkyries in Game 3 of the set want to go ahead and extend their chances for some extra victories here, taking out the Leviathans.
Hey, Game 4 now. Let's get ready. The Valhalla Valkyries have been bringing unorthodox strategies, unorthodox picks, and the Leviathans have had the answers up until this point in the set. Valkyries finding their first.
You know, it's funny. We've been seeing Uller banned out so much in the early half of the phase, and then he kind of went forgotten here. Do you think maybe we see an Uller banned out here in Game 4?
If I'm banning Ull jungle, that feels really bad. End statement.
But after what Johnny did, maybe we see it. Game number 4, right around the corner.
Well, the Valkyries push us to game number 4. Keep the scoreline here at 2-1. Still favoring the Leviathans. The Valkyries fight back and make things interesting for us. Of course, we're still, at this point, at the end of the group stages, starting to look towards these Phase 3 playoffs, starting to look towards those SWC play-in week, essentially, that it's going to be, along with Worlds itself. And you at home can go ahead and get yourself outfitted with some really cool SWC Season 8 Worlds gear. Not only do you get the wall scroll with all the pros signed, but also the jacket, and currently the hats that are a limited edition SWC hat. Those are getting sold out relatively fast, so you want to be able to get that as soon as you can. There will be a version of this bundle that comes without the hat. But if you want the hat, you've got to get on this now. Shop.hi-rezstudios.com, $60 for the whole thing. It is absolutely a steal and absolutely worthwhile. So shop.hi-rezstudios.com and pick up your own SWC bundle. Aggro, the Valkyries tie things up, and they push us to Game 4.
Okay, Gore, I've got a bone to pick. All right, listen. There have been a lot of these sets through the years where there's nothing else on the line.
Yep. Like
everything's been predetermined, like we knew with this one. And you go out there and have some fun. And that's fine. You know, we're cool with that. We like to let loose, have a bit of a troll game. That's fine. There's an unspoken rule when it comes to these. And that's if you're the team that is set to win, like the Leviathans were, up 2-0, you can mess around and have some fun, but at the end of the day, you are required to win. Because otherwise, we have to do this again. And the Leviathans have dropped the ball on that. That they are supposed to win that game, so that we don't have to try and talk about another draft like we have to do that. And look, credit to the Valks. Johnny was going off. He was hitting everything. I think at some point the Leviathans were like, oh, okay, we should probably start trying to win. And then they couldn't because the Valkyries were playing well enough. But now they have to take Game 4 seriously. That's their punishment. They have to win Game 4, or else I'm going to be very upset.
We don't want that. At the end of the day,
look,
that's honestly
I'm not
what
rooting
I want.
for the before I start hearing about it.
Biased commentary on the desk here.
The set, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't. So it's okay to have your fun, but I want to get to the set that matters. Sue me, all right?
And that actually is the fun thing. So you're looking at set number 2. I'm just going to throw this out there for everyone watching to keep you interested in that set. If the Bolts win, then things are all said and done. Top 3 seeds are going to be the ones that go, and I believe the Warriors are the team that is not going to the Phase 3 playoffs.
Yes.
But there are a couple of scenarios where if the Warriors win pretty much anything that's not a 3-2, as long as they can do it in less than 5, that they get to make it there, and somebody else doesn't go. Whether it's the Bolts or the Scarabs is what changes based on a 3-0 or a 3-1 victory for that. So you're going to want to stay tuned for set number 2 to see if they're going to be able to do so. The Leviathans take a loss right here. Johnny goes 11-2-11. Very, very similar to what happened up against the Kings in the vaguest of senses, in that Johnny does really well and he plays out of his mind. 35,000 damage from him, 40,000 out of Imolito, 45,000, almost 46, out of Shinto. So you get a lot of damage done this game, a lot of fighting. And if this game had not been prefaced by some of the others that we saw in this set, I would say this was a great look for the Valkyries to be able to come out. Granted, what we've seen, it's still a good look.
You still take them.
But it was a little shaky in how we got here. The pathway to this point was odd.
It's like when I'm playing Mifflin and ping pong, okay? And I'm not respecting him at all because I don't have to, for the record. Yeah. And I let him get a couple points in a row, It's like 12-3, and I go, I should probably try to win now.
Yeah.
But then by that, or this is a
With
real
a
example.
9-point lead, you're
With a real example, I think he was once up like 15-2, and then I decided to turn on the Jets, and then I lost 19-21. The lead was a little bit too big that I gave him, and that's on me.
That's on you.
That's on me.
You're gonna feel
I think in that game, the Leviathans were me, and the Valks were Mifflin. That they gave them too much of a lead, and then they go, oh, we should try and win, but it was too far gone at that point. And now we just got to rein in the lead a little bit.
I got in this morning. You two were playing. You won one game. I did my check, came out. You won the second game. Start the third game. You went up like
3-0.
3-0.
It was only 3 points.
And Miff just sat down. He stopped.
It was a
from that
dominant
point forward.
3-point performance from me. For the
They
record.
were really sick rallies. The kind that I wish we had on camera, but we could never perform to that extent when we know we're being watched by
Well,
chat.
maybe I could. I don't go.
I actually
off
haven't.
this
Yeah, I
Mike
don't think
Conley.
I've seen you play on it.
I haven't.
I suck at ping pong, so I know that no matter what,
Chat hasn't
you
earned
see
it
or
yet.
not,
That's how I view it. I don't think chat's earned it yet. That's maybe if they were like less chat-like, then they could earn it.
I don't know
That's
what that
a challenge.
means, and I don't know what if
They know what it
that
means.
means. Okay,
they know what it means.
They know.
100%
You
they
know
know.
what it means.
Yeah,
We'll
they know what
figure
they
it
did.
out. Well, let's see if this is deserving of something. We have an Athena ban that comes through. The RDO makes sense, although Leviathan's first pick means they have to go somewhere else. They traded out for the Odin. But was the Athena like the root of all evil there for the Valkyries?
I mean, it was certainly annoying for them to deal with because Raffer can be in one 2v2 skirmish on one side of the map, win it for his team, and then instantly ult over to the other one and make a difference there. So I think the Odin or the Athena ban makes some sense. It does open you up to grabbing an Odin, which I like quite a bit. But Zeros gets to go back to the soul that he looked really good on in game one, which was the most traditional game of the set. So I think the Valkyrie's probably pretty happy anyways.
Nike being hovered. We saw Nike in, what was that, game 2? And it was a support Nike.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what to expect out of this one because honestly.
He did do a good amount of damage that game.
And had a good amount of control.
Yeah, just saying. Raffer was putting out some deeps that game. Would I have been like, yeah, Raf, Nike's open, you want to take it? No, I wouldn't have done that. I would have hoped he wouldn't notice, but, it could work.
Well, Odin Geb just feels like a winning top 2 for a lot of teams as of late. You get that alongside this Aphrodite that has been treating the Titans well and was treating the Leviathans well a couple of games ago. And it feels like they're gearing up for a hyper carry for Panatom that is going to be pretty easily left alive. With a Geb shield and an Aphrodite around it, it's going to be hard to kill.
Exactly. Plenty of protection now between these two picks, so that's good. They go back to the Uller. I would just give this back to Johnny because he got like 17 kills last game. Regardless of the state of whatever was going on, he got a lot. Maybe it was only 11, but who cares? He got double digits. Give it back to him. Ban Kali here if you're the Valks, for sure. Like, no world should you let the Afro Kali through yet again. Okay, that's fine too, I suppose. Again, the Leviathans, it's their duty to win now, so I'm fine with that.
This has been the bans. It was the bottom 2, save for that last game where they banned Aphrodite Fafnir just because Camazotz was locked in so early for the Leviathans. Dodgy Circuit has been the go-to bans for the Valkyries down to the bottom 2, so not too surprising. It's Sobek and Cerberus on the other side. Try to limit down Raffer as best he can, and he ends up going all the way over to this Bacchus.
Should be Kali Hachiman, right? Take care of business, get our job done, don't have to worry, we brawl super well. Erlong Shen Ram, exactly what I said the first time. I don't know.
I heard the same amount of syllables, I think.
Erlong Shen is way too long of a name in comparison. Although Hachiman and Ram, oh, maybe you're right. I don't know. Yeah, you can do the counting over there. Erlong Shen, Afro combo, guns it down in the early. Impossible to win the 2v2 against. They just have so much damage, so much control, a ton of CC across the board here for the Leviathans. So the Valkyries could potentially struggle up against that. Izanami, so you again end up with this like triple hunter style composition with two pretty good frontliners in the Nike and the Bacchus. I think that can work pretty well for the Valkyries. But I'd like to reiterate that everyone's allowed to mess around and have fun again. Like, we're cool with that. These picks are a lot more serious. But that this is a game 4, you know? Like, this is game 4. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, that's crazy.
I know what you mean.
Okay, thank you.
It's weird because, again, if this was run it back to game 2, not that surprising. It's honestly, it was only game 2 that kind of threw everything off. Maybe, you start looking at the Vulcan for the Leviathans last game, and that's definitely out there in terms of what we've seen. But this feels much more return to form for both of them, and you had said the Leviathans either need to have fun but still win or take it seriously and win, and it feels like this is a draft that can do that.
It's the unspoken rule, but I think that they've got really good chance to do it. I mean, tons of CC, low on their area control. You know, you don't technically have good follow-up to that Odin cage, but that really hasn't been a problem for a lot of teams so far this year. You think that Zapman on this ROM is going to be able to hopefully control some of that early game presence from Emilito on the Izanami on the other side.
Well, Zap has played 4 games here, and he's played 4 different hunters. Let's see how this ROM is going to look and how the Leviathans can fare in game number 4.
Yeah, game number 4 is here. The Leviathans up 2-1 in the set here with the Valkyries. Shinto back on the Aphrodite that panned out successful for them earlier on. It's J-Mag, Mifflin, and Doug once again to bring you guys the action. And seeing Bacchus come out, we saw a lot of this in some of the amateur scene during that circuit playoffs. Bacchus was a really hot pick. We haven't been seeing him so much here at the top end of play.
J-Mac, I promise you I will address this game in due time, but I have to first clear up some misconceptions that the desk threw out there.
Okay.
First off, in Game 3 of this set, the Valkyries were just better than the Leviathans. In 200 years, when the documentary comes out about SMITE competitive history, we're going to look back, and that was a Valkyries win at the end of the day. And I'm not just saying that because of the analogs, the parallels that Aggro mistakenly drew to our ping pong matchups. He's trash, by the way. I'm saying it because it needs to be said. The Valkyries got to win, and they earned it.
You got 2-0'd, though. Like, you just got 2-0.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that I was here with a bootlicker, J-Mac. What's going on?
I got a win over Aggro this morning.
Oh, okay.
So
all right.
Put you below me.
If you say so, man.
Anyways, game number 4 with the Leviathans. We'll get off the ping pong tangent for now. We might bring it back later. Who knows? It's always fun to be had here in the office. Everybody's trying to get some ping pong, some pickleball, all kinds of racket sport actions out here. Ducky trying to fight up against our core. I don't think you want to take that boxing match when you're at like, you know, what, 20% health there, Ducky. He'll wisely back away. Johnny and Zeros, though, trying to get a combo kill here up on a Panatom. Turtle form gets him out and a stun from Shinto. Make sure, or not even a stun, just make sure to stand forward and keep him alive.
Panatom should be resustained shortly here thanks to his Mannequin Scepter, as well as just going back to mid and picking up some heals from Shinto. You brought up Bacchus a little bit earlier, so I think I owe it to you to at least talk about it slightly. He's got some of the best late-game scaling of any Guardians in the game. He is, bar none, at level 20, full build, the tankiest Guardian in the game, thanks to the damage mitigations that he gets from Chug. He's got great engage, although one note, it's still pretty easy to execute on, so that one note's a good one, a very pretty one for Raffer going forward. So keep your eyes on this Bacchus. I think this is a pick that we should be seeing more of.
Panatom might want to go for a gank here, but all this time he spent around on this left side. It's not going to come up fruitful for him. Instead, he'll go over towards the Oracle Harpies and just clear those out, maybe not thinking he could get a kill on Raffer or Emil. Both of them now level 3, both of them with full access to their kits. Maybe Rongyu and Zapman going back and just instead dealing with the Scorpion that gets stolen away because Emil, well, he's got piercing auto, so he snags that one away from Zap and Rongyu.
Yeah, pressure should almost always go to the Valkyries in this lane just by nature of having an Izanami over there. Sure, Zapman can also pierce autos, but he only gets 5. You know, got to wait for those arrows to stock back up, or if you're lucky, pick some up off the ground. Whereas Emilito, it's every single auto. Unfortunately, all that pressure may have blinded them to what is happening behind them in the dual lane. Emilito jumps towards his purple just in time to see it dropped by Panatom.
Yeah, he'll walk around, see it on the floor, and make sure that there were no creeps left behind just in case. And now it's back to the purple buff with Zapman and Rongyu. Rongyu still holding on to his Hand of the Gods there to make sure to secure that one, just in case Raffer and Emil, because of how much pressure they have, holds on to that one. Kind of a rare case. You don't really see the Hand of the Gods really held on to usually, but I guess maybe recognizing that they aren't going to get pressure in this lane no matter what, so holding it just in case they try and steal.
Yeah, it generally is the answer when Izanami's on the other side, is you just hold on to Hog because there's very low chance of the enemy showing up to your first rotation of purple buff, so I think right call from Rongyu here. Maybe not the right call to step up. Takes a good deal of damage.
Double stun out of Raffer and a belly flop on Rongyu, but it's Raffer who's worse for wear. He's down to about 200 health from the poke damage of the minions and Zapman, even poking back at Emilito too. Making sure to hold him down. Level 4s across the board in the dual lane, 5s in the mid lane. And Johnny's got a half level up over Panatom in the jungle.
He does. Johnny's been spending a lot of time farming so far, whereas Panatom has been spending a little bit more time trying to put his lanes ahead. That purple buff invade, although very nice for the dual lane, does cost Panatom some farm.
Panatom does get his ultimate up in time to get a taunt against Johnny, but it's Ducky leaping in from the solo lane. Shinto, he's got to go into the tier 1 tower. Panatom doesn't have the luxury of a tower. He doesn't have the luxury of that Aphrodite to be attached to him anymore. Does get a blink just in time because he was out of combat for a little while. Johnny is here, but Johnny's out of mana, and Raffer's out of health. First blood, 4 minutes in, goes to the Leviathans.
What a major loss for the Valhalla Valkyries there, rotating Ducky out of the soul lane. He spends a lot of time not farming up, whereas Yarkor is allowed to push in a wave and catch back up slightly. Ducky does stop and pick up some farm in mid, as well as a camp. So, does tick over to level 6 first, actually. So despite rotating out, despite missing out on an entire wave, it still is a lead for the soul laner of the Valhalla Valkyries, almost an entire level. We saw Yarkor clear another wave. He's still not 6.
He's still not quite there. We'll go to his blue buff, and maybe we'll get to see at least, you know, him hit 6 here. But we do get a look back at first blood. Wrong you. Going for a little bit of a back bait here, at least making them think they don't want to go back. But it's a quick blink cataclysm in by Wrong you, and that's just the power that this Geb offers to any team. Zeros gets into the sap parade just in time. 2 more ticks would have been enough to take him down. But he'll make it out. Raffer goes in aggressively, but no ult from Wrong you to potentially stop that one. Raffer walks out.
Good slow from Emilito to make sure that Raffer is able to walk out of this one. I think maybe had Wrong-U been able to connect that knock-up or maybe a dash forward from Zapman, could have locked out some of that damage. But Meditation still down for Raffer means that he doesn't really have the ability to heal through the Astral Barrage that Rom is bringing. Maybe a bit of a missed opportunity for the Leviathans duo lane, but considering how well they've done so far and up until this point, no reason to go for risky plays.
That may get some damage on Emil rolling forward. It's been all action here in the duo lane, constantly with Zapman and Wrong-U being pushed back towards their tower. They do get that first blood, and Johnny's able to set up enough pressure in mid to allow Zeros to kind of freely stand around. Now the Raffer is 5. He rotates out of lane to try and get something going in the mid lane. But now that the Scorpions have spawned in, Johnny teamed up with Raffer, could grab that Scorpion. They will do so, walking right over, but Phantom on that rotation. He won't get there quite in time. Instead, he'll go back towards mid.
Like that attempt from Emilito, going for what I'm going to go from now on, Pen as the Set gank, because Set generally is the only hunter / assassin that goes for it. Hiding on the left-hand side as Zeros taunted back in.
Taunted back. Beads are down, but he gets into the sap right just in time with Ducky and Raffer here. The mid laner lives on. Johnny gets a pick against Zapman on the left side of the map, while Raffer and Zeros have to try and fight here in the mid. Wrong-U goes in, gets the Cataclysm, and a cage drop in by our core. And with his rotation, Shinto picks up 1 kill. Panatom grabs Zeros, but Ducky is shoving Panatom against the wall, against the tower, and back into the grave. Ducky snags a kill for the Valks.
2 for 2 trade, if you want to call it that. I mean, the one that the Valks got was a solo kill on the left-hand side up against Zapman in the team fight. It's actually 2 for 1, favoring the Leviathans, and 3-2 is where we end at the 7-minute mark. Gold advantage goes over to the Order side team. Experience is slightly different across the board. Some targets of the Leviathans doing slightly better. Some members of the Valkyries getting a slight advantage themselves. But I think it's more so that duo lane difference. So much golden XP.
Just an easy kill there for Johnny. He gets the axe toss, gets the beads, hits some damage after, and then the hail of arrows over the wall. I'm not even sure if he actually had vision on being able to get that kill there, but Zapman doesn't get to have a whole lot of fun in this duo lane. It's been nothing but pressure up against this hunter for the Leviathans, whether it be Johnny or Emilito trying to hold him back.
Yeah, I'm not sure I love Zapman's 1v1 potential right now either. Emilito goes towards Ikavale in that first slot, where Zapman picks up that Crusher. The ultimate is going to chunk. It probably does about 60% of Emilito's HP bar if Zapman lands all 3 shots, maybe even upwards of 75% at this point. But as far as auto attack trades go, Emilito 100% favored.
Raffer rotating around the jungle. I'm not sure where he's going. Just throwing a ward down maybe. Or between that red and purple spot. I need rotations. It'll be the mid camps on the left side going to the Valkyries. Right side ones are down. And Shinto here, level 9 on this Aphrodite. A Chronos Pen and a Blink ult in from Wrong-U. Finds Johnny and Zeros, but it's a quick to separate out of the mid laner to get him out. Wrong-U instead turned right back on by the Valks. Take a little bit of poke.
It will be maybe some more poke coming the way of the Valkyries as well. Had that pin landed in the root, we would have seen a fair deal of damage toss Zeros' way. Yarkor taking the 1v1 over in the soul lane. We've seen earlier this week what Odin can do in the 1v1 when piloted by guys like Finoke. That's a scary fight to take.
Supernova goes in. It's a stone shield on Panatom to give him enough time to buy, and the back off out of Shinto is what helps deal the last little bit of damage necessary. Panatom nets up the kill, and they get 1 here in the mid lane. Leviathan's up 4-2. Yarkor sitting under the tower. Johnny wants to get something going, but Yarkor will not give him an inch.
No, not just yet. Gonna hide inside the tower here as Ducky has gotten the better end of that 1v1 and maybe another one in the jungle.
Panatom half health from the rotation out of Johnny, but Panatom wants to go right back in with Yarkor and Ducky here. Now they've turned it into a 2v2. Yarkor will chase out Johnny, but he misses the bird bomb And now with the supports rotating over, we're making a 3 for 3. A good axe toss does manage to hit one and buy some time for Johnny, but the miss will not buy him enough time. Now Shinto rotating over, healing up Yarkor, hitting Raffer with the Lovebirds, and a pin out of Panatom will seal the deal and take him down.
6-2 are the Leviathans. Let's see if we can make it 7.
Ducky falling low here, under a quarter health. Wrong U wants to try and hold him out. He'll get in through, but the stun right after the jump under the tower line. We'll close that one out. Emily up in the sky needs all 3 if he wants to kill, but Zapman does miss the 3rd.
I'm pretty sure Emilito's dead there if the 3rd one lands. Just maybe not the initial burst of damage, but the crusher certainly afterward would have made that one interesting. Zapman barely off the mark with that 3rd tick, but I will not hold it against him, as now the Leviathans have put themselves 2,300 gold in the lead, 10 minutes in. Neutral objectives spawned up, 4,000 experience. That's the larger of the 2 boons to the Leviathans at this point. We'll see if the gold can catch up here.
See if they can add a little bit more. Gold Fury started up by Leviathans. Raffer is here, gets hit by the pin. A taunt in from Panatom disrupts the belch and may have just ended Raffer's life. The Lovebirds connect. Zapman gets one more auto that's necessary to take him out. Extend their kills up to 8 now against the 2 of the Valkyries. Keep pushing up that gold lead here. Gold Fury does stand, and Zapman now in a 1v1 up against Emilitu, but Zapman has some backup on the way. Stone Shield comes out, a roll in,
shot.
and he catches Emilitu after, but now it's Johnny here, Cataclysm, to hold him off, and Panatom to close it out. He'll get him with the pin, and then the turtle and basic after. And that's a double kill for the jungler, the Leviathans.
Good plays there. Good teamwork from the Leviathans. Zapman realizes he doesn't win that auto trade, but he doesn't need to because he's got a Stone Shield. He's got an Erlong Shen coming in to turn that fight in their favor. And now what was a fight that started over the Gold Fury will end with it as well. No members of the Valkyries here to defend.
Not a chance anybody will get there in time. So Gold Fury going over to the Leviathans, and what is currently a 3,500 gold lead will extend even further up, closer towards a 5,000 gold lead after that. 4,700 gold, 6,300 experience, maybe the most stark of the 2 numbers here the Leviathans have up over the Valkyries, only 11 minutes in. One of the largest leads we've seen in this set.
It is. The Leviathans seem upset with the fact they were put into a position where they have to play Game 4 and instead are trying to make it quick now. 5,000-ish gold, experience too large a number to conceive at this point, 11 minutes in, and it seems like the Leviathans aren't going to slow down at all. Their late-game teamfight scaling is incredibly strong. Aphrodite, Geb, even Rom only get better and better as time goes on. Odin, as an initiator, is very strong up against this draft of the Valhalla Valkyries. In particular, Emilito, sure, may be able to leap past the cage, but the spear is going to chase him down and knock him out of that stealth.
Yarkor wants to kill against Ducky, and with Panatom here, that may be something they can get. Taunt in is going to cancel out the barrier, but Ducky leaps in place inside the cage, and that will be a curtain call for the solo laner. Panatom picks up another and gets himself his 6th kill of the game.
Yeah, let's get a blue buff invade on the tail end as well. Maybe a Pyromancer, just to really send the message home. The Leviathans are dominating Game 4 right now. 6,000, 7,000, let's make it 8,000. Who cares? This gold lead is only going to keep going up. You can see it on the charts. Looks like a staircase favoring the Order side.
Not just that, the experience is also slamming up there. 9,000 plus that they've got. Zapman in a 2v1 will get hit by the Dark Portal, and there's just not enough relic and not enough safety in the world to help out their Hunter. He'll trade his life for the fight on the right side of the map and for that objective. The Panatom, man, he has smelled blood, and he is just going to dive in like a shark in the water. Zeros at half health and no beads now from the engagement by Panatom.
Zapman had not made his way back to base yet, so he did not have that secondary relic available to him. Had he had Aegis, I think you immune Dark Portal, he nearly turns the engagement around. Could have been a little bit more interesting. Ducky dashes in. He's going to keep Wrong U locked down.
Well, was going to keep him locked down, but Shinto stuns him out and then uses the Undying Love to make sure his support stays alive. Yarkor now rotating in, missed the stun up against Ducky and just standing under that tier 1 tower to zone them away. But the Leviathans move on 11-3 in the kills, an ever-climbing golden experience lead.
They've got everything in their favor right now. 3-level lead between Yarkor and Ducky. Raffer still level 8, 4 levels down on Wrong U. Gonna be a long time before Raffer can match something up with that meditation. So it's going to be a long time until I think we see Raffer try and play proactively on the map. Sure, Bacchus has some of the best late-game scaling of any Guardians in the game, but Late game's a pretty far ways off when you're 4 levels down.
Zapman just needs some farm. Johnny and Emily are here. It's another 2v1. Zapman's going to go right in against Emil. Leaps away from one shot out of Zapman. Stone Shield is here, and the knockup from Wrong U is enough to help Zapman turn the tides of the fight back towards their favor. Cataclysm comes out to get the beads from Johnny, and he's got nowhere left to go but to try and fight in. Zapman rolls in, missed the shot up in the sky. How many snipes does he need? Only one, because Panatom's pin puts him low enough.
Yeah, I mean, okay. All right, Agar, I see you, man. Geb might be one of the best gods in the game. Stone Shield, that strong, able to turn around a 2 versus 1 Hunter trade. Ducky taking a good deal of damage here, but Raffer hovering nearby should spell the end of that fight.
Shinto smacks zeros some damage in mid, and Panatom wants to try and put the rest of that health bar to bed, but there's a Disapparate and an Aegis pop out of Zeros, and that'll keep him alive, but Shinto does not want to give up just yet. A Supernova keeps Zeros alive for a little while longer, but Panatom doesn't care about the tower. He doesn't care about Raffer. He only wants Zeros, and now that he's gone, it's a curtain call for Raffer. Shinto grabs that kill.
This is a bloodbath. This is dominant. Bullying, cyberbullying. Turn off your monitors, Valkyries, if you want to have this one end, because the Leviathans are 15-3, 15 kills in as many minutes.
Ducky walks up. There's 4 people in tower, and somehow he might make it out of here. I say might, but Yarkor is right behind him. He's charged up that spear, but he'll let Ducky live this time around. He won't continue that chase. Instead, tier 2 tower still proving to be something that they need to deal with in that mid lane. Zapman doesn't care. He'll grab one on the left-hand side of the map. And after that loss, the Leviathan said, okay, Valkyries, you've had your fun, but your free trial of fun is over. It's all serious. It's all back to game day now.
10,000 gold, 15 minutes into this game, nearly 16 kills. Luckily, Ducky able to work his way out of that engagement and not give up the 16th in 15 minutes. So the Leviathans, if they want to keep matching this pace of 1 kill per minute, are going to have to find one in the next 15 seconds, which is doubtful. What is less doubtful is maybe a Fire Giant pretty early on. Maybe we see a team fight around this Fury once it respawns as well. The Valhalla Valkyries, they've fallen so far behind that it is hard to conceive of a path back into the game for them. And I'm rooting most of that analysis around the level 9 Bacchus on your screen right now. It was a 4-level lead for Wrong U just a moment ago. Now it's 6.
It's not fun. That's not fun. And not being level 12 is the biggest detriment to that Bacchus, because now you don't get that second relic towards a team fight. Where Wrong U, he went for the Sunder to try and deal with Ducky's shenanigans of that ultimate, can start chipping away at that health shield that Ducky has. Zeros taunted in, has to use the beads and Disapparate yet again to try and get out, but he'll walk back in while it's a 2v2 on the left side. Zapman gets another stone shield, and that's all that he needs. The Aegis holds it out. Johnny being body blocked up in the sky is Zapman. Aegis saves a couple shots, and the third one, we'll call it and close it out here. Zapman 17-3 now with the Leviathans, 5 of those being his.
We'll see if Yarkor can add another one, as Zero's in some trouble here. Gungnir's might is good.
But Zeros has just enough lifesteal to maintain through the damage that Yarkor has. Bird Bomb right in place, not quite enough. Panatom wants to try and grab here, but he doesn't even need the help. It's just Yarkor to take out the mid laner.
Raffer thought about maybe jumping into the back camp, so Yarkor plays the option. Raffer spots him out, heads back towards mid, but Yarkor plays that option as well. We've passed the 1 kill per minute mark as we've ticked over to 19 and 7.5, or 17.5 minutes rather. Gold lead, too much. Experience lead, massive. Tier 2 tower, gone. The Atlantis Leviathans, I'd call it a 99%er, but that's doing them a disservice. It's like a 99.99.
9.
All right, we can throw a third 9.
We'll throw a third 9 here. It's going to take a bit of a throw from the Leviathans to lose out on this with a 13,000 and climbing gold lead. There's still, by the way, one more tower they can take for another free 1,500. There's a Pyromancer here. The Gold Fury was just taken a moment ago on that left side of the map. And with a Fire Giant waiting for them with open arms, the Leviathans start up the neutral objective.
Johnny nearby, as is Ducky. This is not a foregone conclusion. There could be a steal.
Panatom versus Emily2, and Emily2 is losing that fight. It's a solo kill for Panatom on the left side of the map, while Ducky tries to deal with Zapman the best way he can, which is hold up the barrier and pray to the lords, pray to the gods that he doesn't hit me with an auto or cancel that barrier. Ducky walks away. Up in the sky is Zapman. Needs all 3 shots, but I don't think he clips really any of them there. Instead, the rest of the team will cover the slack and pick him up.
Leviathans, 21 kills, and we'll just keep on counting as Zapman plays against Raffer, who is still level 9. He's still level 9. Okay. Raffer has not had an opportunity to farm at any point, but taking a peek at his build, picks up some anti-heal. doesn't really work unless you're near your enemies, and if Raffer's near the enemies, he's probably dying pretty quickly as well. Tough stuff for the support of the Valhalla Valkyries, as the Leviathans, they're just manhandling them.
Bright side, Raffer hit 10. It's not much of a bright side, but hey, he's in the double digits. He's closer to 12, but he's not at 12. The most important one to hit here. Ducky is also pretty far behind in his opposition. Yarkor 5 levels up. Panatom 3 up. Shinto, which he was battling back and forth between like a half level with Zeros, he's got a couple up. And Zapman, with now his crit online and a dominance, he is chunking through Emelitu's health bar with a 3-level lead of his own. And Emelitu has to stand back and watch as this Hunter that they were bullying at the first half of the game is now returning the favor.
Hey, Raffer's getting a good deal of farm, now up to level 11, but to pay for it, probably going to have to pay with his life. The iron cost here. And the Leviathans with the 22nd on the board. Johnny now being chased out. Ducky creating some space, but you created space, but at what cost? Probably your own life.
Well, the very early face is one way, and as long as somebody can get behind you to try and deal the damage back, Ducky stunned out. Ducky gone. 9-1-9 for Panatom. 2-0-10 out of Shinto. And Zeros is going to do the only thing that he can right now. We're not going to be able to win these fights because we're going in one at a time against these guys, so at least I'll get something for my trouble. Left side tier 2 goes down, but Leviathans don't care about a tier 2. They're worried about this mid lane Phoenix.
And it's going to fall down pretty quickly here. Panatom forced back to base to put up a defense up against Zero's split push, which means that Zero's will not be given the opportunity to back, which means the Leviathans can just keep going.
Zapman needs that third shot if he wants to get the kill, and misses. Aegis comes out of Johnny to hold him out for a little while longer, but not much more beyond there. It's Wrong You who does the deed and takes out Johnny. Zeros versus Panatom. Emelitu joining, could have this 2v1, but Panatom is level 20. Got a decent amount of damage online. He'll dive in aggressively with the turtle form, but he is losing a lot of health back, and Supernova will seal the deal. Zeros and help with Emelitu, able to take him out.
5 seconds is all it takes to get back to base, and that's exactly what Yarkor does. This Phoenix is burning, but not fast.
Not fast enough. The minions weren't there to help him out. Instead, it might be Zeros losing out on his life bar. Disapparate comes through, but he cancels it to try and box back against Shinto. But you're not going to be able to outbox the healing coming from Shinto and the damage coming out of Yarkor.
Might be the first time I've ever seen Aphrodite win an auto trade up against a soul, or if you want to call it that, the healing from Lovebirds maybe gives you the slight edge, as well as the assistance of your teammates. The Leviathans, 25 kills, 21 minutes. Can go ahead and just head back to the Fire Giant. They were looking at it 3 minutes ago. And a couple of members of the Valkyries rear their heads, peek around the corner, lose their lives, lose their Phoenix, and the Leviathans, they let the Fire Giant keep breathing.
We'll group up around the mid lane. The mid Phoenix is gone. They can just go ahead and push up these fire minions and let them continue to do their own job for them. Instead, now it'll be finally over towards this Fire Giant that you alluded at. They can go ahead and just burn this down anytime that they want to. Wrong Use level 19. Not often that we see the support almost at level 20 around this 20-ish, 25-minute mark. Wrong U's going to do just fine here. He'll start it up. Zapman actually, I think, is the one who did clip it there right at the very beginning. Now Wrong U will take it up, and the rest of the team will start to collapse around. Fire Giant started up by the Leviathans.
There still is steal potential. Fire Giant can be taken away here by the Valhalla Valkyries as Raffer has ticked to 12.
He got spotted out, and Zapman is slamming damage right against him. Ducky's shield is gone thanks to the help of the Sunder out of the support. And with nowhere left to go, Ducky is surrounded by not just the wall, but the rest of the Leviathans leaping from Yarkor to spot out Johnny and Zeros. And he'll just force both of these carries to walk away from the Leviathans.
If you were wondering where Zeros and Emelito were, split pushing. That's exactly where they're at. And they're headed down the mid lane now. Zeros maybe going to peek his head in towards this Fire Giant. Again, steal potential is there. The Supernova, pretty good at that.
Not just that, Intoxicate out of Raffer, even though level 12 can still do some good damage, but they recognize he's here. I don't know if they recognize that Zeros is right around the wall. Raffer and Zeros want to go in for the steal, but it's a Cataclysm that catches Zeros and Raffer. Zeros got stuck on the Ring of Fire, and Disapparate will only delay the inevitable. Zapman turns around and grabs him with the help of Shinto, and now it's just Johnny to try and steal this Fire Giant away. He's got a hail of arrows to leap over the wall, and Johnny makes the hero play to steal it away, but at the end of the day, it's a full D side, and Leviathans come up with all 5.
We knew all along the Valhalla Valkyries were going to get credit for that Fire Giant, and they do. Johnny, dead for 45 seconds, does at least get to put hero on his gravestone, because he does at least steal the Fire Giant, I suppose. But the Leviathans, I don't think they need it.
Clearly they don't. I mean, they killed all 5 of them. They can walk up this right side. Mid lane Phoenix is gone. Right side Phoenix is gone. It's 20 seconds until the rest of the team comes back up. It's just the frontliners, just this level 13 Bacchus and a level 17 Nike to defend against the Titan. Rongyu at a quarter health. Yarkor walking in. Zapman diving in aggressively in the cage to lock them in place. Ducky low, Ducky gone. It's Shinto at the end of the day to grab the kill, but Emily2 spawning in means the Leviathans might not be able to end this game with the rest of the team coming back.
Maybe not just yet, but any form of CC and a couple of auto attacks could spell the end. As you see Raffer, he is wet paper.
So is Emily2. He'll go down. Shinto and Zapman teaming up. Some big crits out of the Hunter. Some big damage right back at them. Leviathans put 2 of them back in the grayscale screen, but there's still 3 of the Valkyries up to try and defend. Phoenix comes back, and then Phoenix goes away.
It does, but Yarkor heads back into the Titan room. I think the Leviathans want to close it out.
They're trying to. Johnny gets taunted back in by Panatom, and pretty much all of his health bar gone right after. Panatom and Yarkor team up to take him out. Shinto just keeping Yarkor alive for as long as he can. These lovebirds keeping him up. Raffer does manage to get a stun up against Zapman and forces the beads out of them, and the damage coming out of Zeros on this soul is pushing them away, but Titan still at half health. Going through, they're trying to get there. They're trying to make this defense. The Valkyries are holding them out, and they keep resetting the Titan.
They do. The Leviathans aren't going for the Titan, is the thing. They're going for kills. There was Zapman in the fountain, landing a ton of auto attacks. We'll see if he can finish what he started. He couldn't. Raffer puts him down.
Raffer gets him with the Intoxicate. Zeros and Ducky are still here. Now that Emily2 is back up, there's no chance the Leviathans can close this out. 34 kills looks great. But come on, guys. You got to just go for this Titan, man.
Hey, they've got plenty of time. 25 minutes in, 34 kills, 15,000 gold. Experience still matters because Raffer's level 15. We still got a couple of members of the Valkyries still teetering on the edge of 20. So the Leviathans might as well head back to base, spend up that gold, do it all over again. Maybe line up 40 kills. That'd be pretty cool.
I was gonna say maybe that's the most kills we see from a single team in a game, but I know I'm widely wrong on that, and I'm pretty sure Gormizer already has that stat pulled up somewhere on that computer. You never know what stat he'll kind of just pull out of his hat. Leviathans 34 kills up to 5, 26 minutes in. Fire Giant a little while to go through. Panatom, he's just all about violence today. He sees somebody and he just wants them dead. And he might just get his wish here. Zeros goes down, all by the solo efforts of Panatom.
That was a leap in from Raffer. Surprised to see Panatom not chase that one out, especially considering Rongyu so close by. But why? Why do it? You got a pretty sick KDA here. The Leviathans padding some stats.
Ducky has thrown away. Yarkor does get stunned on landing, but he's got a stone shield. He's got his own shield. He's got some healing. He's got everything that he could want. Trying to walk forward. Emily2 and Johnny here want to try and hold him out. Now chipping away about a quarter of this Warrior's health bar, but Yarkor does not care. He will dive right in, drop a cage around 4. One wall is already gone, so it's a lot of Johnny's health bar, but Yarkor has no regrets. He has no remorse for anybody's life. He's still going to dive in. He's got Panatom as a backup with Rongyu, and maybe now Leviathans can finally walk in, take this Titan, close out game 4 in the set, but they still got to go through these Hunters.
Raffer being chased out by Panatom loses his life.
Now that they take him out, they take out one Hunter. This is all Leviathans need to finally close out game number 4, to finally end this set. Panatom gets a double kill for good measure. The Titan being walked around the base just so they can get an extra kill on Zeros. Come on, Leviathans. Let's go ahead and kill out this Titan. The kill is great. Let's go ahead and end the game, guys.
Zeros in some trouble. Fountain Dive.
Fountain Dive is not going to prove fruitful here. It will be Leviathans just shy of 40 kills, just shy of 30 minutes here, 27. That's more than just a little shy. That's very shy of a half hour here. Leviathans, though, they come out, they get the win that they need. They get the 3-0 to close out the group stage and remain your #1 seed.
Congratulations to the Leviathans being able to beat the Valhalla Valkyries in 4. Congratulations to the Valkyries for being able to find 1. Exciting games, at least.
You know, we get to have a little bit of fun out here. The Valkyries get to put another win in their column up against a top team here in this phase and at least get to show that they still got some fight left in them. Unfortunately for them, they will not move on to the playoffs and just go straight to the SWC qualifier stage in December instead. But we're going to go ahead and take it to a break and we'll let the desk close out the set.
What was that? He's making a montage. Oh my gosh, that man with a great ricochet bounces off the wall, off the tower, and right into a waiting, impatient Imolito. You couldn't have planned it better.
That's right. The Leviathans find their victory. Maybe a game longer than we expected so far this set, but still, they get the 3-1. They remain on top of their side of the standings. Before we break that one down, I want to tell you guys, next month, December 11th, fun fact, my little sister's birthday, we are going to be doing a charity event in memory of Finch, who we lost earlier this year. And it's going to be Finchmas. Of course, we're going to be hanging around. I'm sure if you want to tune in, there's probably going to be a lot of fun stories to be had. I know we've had quite a few over the last few months that we've all been sharing with each other. And, of course, it's going to be a good charity event to be had. There's going to be a lot more details and stuff about that one coming out pretty much over the next month, pretty soon, I'm assuming as well. But December 11th is the day you need to mark on your calendar. And I believe that'll be right before the SWC placements as well. So make sure you tune in when that one happens. And of course, we do still miss him every day as it comes in. It still feels like he should be in that green room right now, if I'm being honest with you. But instead, I'll try to pull away from the melancholy. It's kind of hard to do. Leviathans win 3-1. Takes a little longer, but they still get there.
Yeah, this time I think they came in nice and focused. As we expected, Game 3 didn't go the way that it should have, but ultimately they're able to find the win here in Game 4 and do so in absolutely crushing, dominating fashion. Yeah. It just was not close, and that's the way that sometimes these go, where one team's like, yeah, we're still having fun, and then the big brother is like, no, I'm mad now. Like I'm not having fun anymore. And punch like that. This game was the punch part.
Yeah, the absolute, like the knockdown. Like no. You got to remember who we are real fast.
Right.
Just to let you know. Still Leviathan, still doing really well. A high kill count game. It might blow your mind to realize that's still not not the deadliest game that we've had this year. We had upwards of 50 kills in a set earlier this phase. But this was a very good showcase to show off what Panatom's able to do. 10.5 KDA there out of the jungle. And of course, Zapman got to flex around a little bit on his 4th god this set on this ROM. Couple of missed snipes. We're not going to discredit him for that.
No, of course not. That's just par for the course whenever you're playing the ROM. This little 2v2 with him and Rongyu up against the Double Hunters was very clean here from Zap and played it pretty well overall. So excited to see the Leviathans head on. I mean, we've known for a little bit that this team has the potential to do some really special things, and going out of their group at the very top of it, as expected for how well they've been playing.
Being number 1 seed, matching up with the Titans on the other side as the number 1 out of their group. It is a good look to have here. I mean, even if this set goes 4 games, even if there's some goofs being had, Panatom goes 15-2-12. I think he had very similar slash lines in games 1 and 2.
Yep.
Leviathans have a very good showcase for what we expect to see of them. And now they get to go forward. We know everyone in this group who's going into playoffs. We know the teams they're going to have to match up against. And it's got to feel good knowing that you beat everybody else.
Yeah, exactly, and did so in pretty dominating fashion. I mean, obviously this set, their only real blemish up against the Valkyries was that Game 3. They dropped 1 game as well up against the Kings, but otherwise were very, very dominant in this group and should obviously be feeling very confident heading in to those Phase 3 playoffs, because this is a really good opportunity for them to get that automatic bye into the World Championships and not have to worry about your placement rounds at all, and to have a really good opportunity to just see what everyone else is doing and then get ready and prepare and then bring your own strategies to the World Championship stage, which is always a big advantage.
It's just a good showcase for them all around because of all of the things, not only that you just listed, but at the same time, you get a little more SMITE, I guess, under your belt, getting to go through the playoffs. Like, if you're looking at it from the Valkyries' perspective, they just straight up don't get to play competitively, at least at that level, for a month. Scrims and stuff that exist, but at the same time, maybe not the same grind that we expect to see out of the Leviathans. Speaking of the Leviathans, we've got Panatom standing by for an interview for this one. And I know immediately the question that I want to start with. Panatom, welcome. First off, congratulations on your win.
Thank you.
What happened there in Game 3? How did it get out of your hands?
We didn't play that great on that game, especially me. I played like so bad, and yeah, like as Agro said, like we were like having fun, and then we throw the game a bit.
But hey, you still got the 3-1 win, right? At the end of the day, you got the victory that you needed. You guys are the top of Group A, and it was not an easy group. I mean, you had the Dragons, you had the Kings. How does it feel knowing that you managed to get number 1 here?
We feel pretty good. We have been playing like really great lately against we do a really clean set against the Jades, and we play good against the Camelot, so feels pretty good.
Solid enough. And now, next up for you guys is going to be the playoffs. You've got a couple of weeks before that really does kick off. But what is the team going to do to try and prepare? Is it just a lot of the typical stay up late nights, playing as much SMITE as you can, or is there something more specific for you?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna like obviously practice by our own, like on rank and all that stuff, and taking serious the scrims, I guess.
Well, it sounds good, man. We're going to see you at the Phase 3 playoffs. Congratulations on your win. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you.
Just happy. They seem to they've done really well so far, this group, and they beat two very difficult teams, and the Leviathans the Valkyries still managed to put up a lot of trouble for the Kings there and for the Leviathans here, pushing about the 4th game, Zagro. So it makes things a lot more interesting now when we're looking towards the barrel of the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that overall, I mean, the Valkyries not getting a chance to go to Phase 3 playoffs definitely feels pretty bad for them because they do get some momentum by having some good games up against the Kings and the Leviathans, but you know, maybe this can be that time where, like I said, I think that they've struggled a little bit in the drafting phase. They can find this time and really lock down what they're going to do whenever it comes to that placement round. As for the Leviathans, I mean, this team is one of the front runners. There's no doubt about that in my mind. I think that right now it's a pretty clear top 2 with the Leviathans and the Titans and everyone else trying to catch them.
In Phase 2 playoffs, it was Leviathans Titans in the finals, and that one was a fun one to watch. Leviathans, Kings, Dragons, guaranteed teams going to the Phase 3 playoffs from Group A. And the Valkyries will take a little while. We'll see them a little later in December. Group B, not quite as decided yet. We've got the Titans for sure, but this next match is going to decide a whole lot. There is a little bit of math, and we'll break it down as we get into that set. But if the Warriors are able to win, and depending on how they win, that can determine what teams go there. If the Bolts win, then we have our top 3, and unfortunately the Warriors will find themselves in the same spot as the Valkyries, waiting until December to play again. A lot of weight on that one just because it can control so much about the way the playoffs go.
Yeah, I mean, there's a way where the Bolts don't make it to Phase 3 playoffs. It would require the Warriors sweeping them here, which would obviously be a huge shocker, but there's pressure on the line. You know, you never know exactly what's going to happen, so this should be a really fun set. The big key, Warriors can't lose 2 games, because even if they win 3-2, they're still out based on plus-minus and head-to-head, so that would be pretty difficult for them. They need to make sure that they only got 1 loss to play with, basically, going into this set, which is a difficult task up against a team like the Bolts.
Yeah, it's not something that you want to feel. A lot of pressure, as you had said, up against the Warriors here. We'll see if they're able to do that or if the Bolts are going to be able to seal the deal on that one. A lot of weight in this second set, and all of that is going to be right after this.